From Joss Whedon, God of the Nerds, comes the movie blockbuster that finally unites the world's greatest superheroes that Marvel still has the rights to. The Avengers, the ultimate 2-hour geek fantasy that blinds all nerds from admitting any legitimate criticism and put all of DC Comics on suicide watch.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rollin' 20s. We are the show that went through the Marvel petting zoo. The dragon breathed fire on us, the raccoon took a shot at us, and the frog threw a hammer at us. We're going again next week. I am Jeremy.
Steve. Jesse.
And V.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library at missionstarpodcast.com. You can subscribe to us on iTunes and on Stitcher. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at the Rollin' 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. At the beginning of the show, you heard music by Machine Supremacy. You can find most of their discography for free download at machinesupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. The audio you heard before the show was another one of the Honest Trailers. This one had to do with the Avengers. You can subscribe to their channel, Screen Junkies, on YouTube. How's the morning?
Morning,
It's
Mike.
morning. It has arrived entirely too early.
It's amazing how all you guys seem to shrivel like weeds when the sun comes up.
Hey, I'm solar powered. I just don't like getting up.
Well, the day's not terrible. I've just been reading stuff of all different kinds on the internet. There has been some very strange news coming up, but there was a comic I heard the other day who... I think he's Irish, judging by his accent. Dude is funny. I had not heard that outlook on video games before, where he says it's the only form of art that punishes you for using it.
That's true.
He says books don't snap themselves shut if you're not reading fast enough. Albums don't stop playing if you don't dance well enough. Video games are the only ones that say you're not doing this right, so you're not getting to the next part. It was an interesting outlook. I had not quite heard that one before. Although his version of cheating in Rock Band was a little bizarre to me.
Oh?
Yeah, he says usually if you want to play a certain piece of music, you just play you get to a certain piece of music. In the case of like Rock Band or frickin' Guitar Hero, you got to work through all the different sections of the game to get to the one piece maybe you want to play. In the music industry, if you want to get to that one piece and you don't want to play music very well, sometimes you just got to get on your knees and suck a little. So he said something to the effect of, if you're not doing well enough, maybe you should pop off the end of the guitar, put your mouth on it, see if you can get a little higher.
Oh my.
I might use that as a clip one day.
Gives new meaning for having the microphone.
Yeah. But, God, we kind of punished ourselves this week because we had to check in on a critically acclaimed series of Superman that I'd heard about called Superman Unchained. I'm sure we'll be getting into that, and I wonder what kind of noises we'll make during that. In the meantime, we have our Kickstarter corner. We check out all kinds of projects from the internet that either amuse us or interest us in regards to crowdfunding. The first one we have is a Kickstarter called Virtual Reality and PC Gaming Cafe by Nick Lee of Boston, Massachusetts. His plan during this Kickstarter was to create a game center that specialized in VR and PC gaming. He wanted to do weekly social events and tournaments. He was going to call it Good Game Boston. Well, this crowdfunder ended 4 days ago. That would have been, goodness, what, the 8th, I think? No. I'm on the wrong damn week. That would have been the 13th. At the end, he had 18 backers. The goal to get this started is $25,000. He had $400. It's another one of those Kickstarters that has almost no information as to how this money is going to be used.
Yeah.
I think we actually asked how just $25,000 would get this project started. That might be enough to buy, 3 large simulators, or 250, 500 Oculus Rifts.
Well,
Not including the systems it would take to run it.
the only thing I can figure is he already has the space.
I would hope so, but if you got that, you might as well just go to the bank and get a loan.
Fair.
You know, you need more information than this, especially since the picture is kind of weird, since it has a VR rig that you know is just ancient by comparison. It was not a good setup, and I'm afraid that was part of the thing that hurt it. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have a crowdfunder in Indiegogo for Jibo, the world's first family robot. This is a personal assistant robot that's been developed by Cynthia Brazil. She has a doctorate. Some of the reviews that had recent features, Katie Couric called it potential extending far beyond engaging in casual conversation, completing daily tasks. The New York Times actually said it's a robot with a little bit of humanity. I don't know what that. Maybe it ate somebody. But this has 29 days to go. It ends on September 14th. I think they extended it. But it has 4,024 backers. The goal to get this started is $100,000. Well, they have $1,729,283. Apparently, we are very hip to robotics all of a sudden.
I would like
at least robots that answer email.
Yeah, I would like a personal assistant robot. You could do the dishes for me.
You just wonder how far this is going to go, because sooner or later you're going to find that person that when he comes home, Jibo just says, "Hello, would you like your email?" No, fuck off. All of a sudden there will be calls to like 911. He's been very abusive to me recently. Please send an officer.
And then the robot uprising happens.
Yeah, thank goodness this thing doesn't have arms. It would drag itself across the floor and start strangling him or something. But it is an interesting device. The backer rewards where you actually get one of these starts at $500. It is not a cheap device. Actually, no, I think it may start at $500. That's the featured version. If you donate $600, you get a developer's version. Yay, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, what's the difference?
I'm not 100% sure. I've never dealt with a developer's pack on any sort of technology.
I would assume to help you make your own robot or tweak it or whatever.
Or maybe just to develop the programming a bit.
Yeah.
If you want to be generous at $800, not only do you get one, but they will donate an additional one to the Boston Children's Hospital. That's if you're feeling generous. I'm not one of those people that makes that kind of money.
So the robot uprising will start with child slaves.
Isn't that how it always starts? That's how Nike started.
What, in China?
No, with child slaves. I think Malaysia, technically. I think you can get them by the pound there. We also have the coolest cooler. It's a 21st century cooler that's actually a cooler. That's in the name of this thing. This is by Ryan Grepper of Portland, Oregon. We've discussed this for a few weeks now. This is the world's best frat party device. It is a cooler that has LED lights, a bottle opener, Bluetooth speakers. It also has a motor on top for a blender. This thing is it's an insane amount of lazy devices. Well, this one has 12 days to go. It ends on Friday, August 29th. Has 44,694 backers. The goal to start this is $50,000. Well, he currently has $8,821,278.
Yeah. I think people enjoy their parties.
I think people enjoy the idea of being able to do like 3 different things without getting up from the bench.
There's
Lazy.
something to be said for multitasking.
This isn't technically multitasking because you didn't even get up for this. This is just I need a beer.
Now, multitasking is
like
working the
margarita
drive-thru
or-
at a burger joint.
That's closer. I can't believe they even added a USB charger to this. I mean, this is really for that person who just doesn't feel like getting up from the hammock. But he is making it, that's for sure. At this point, it's just a matter of how many he's making. I just had the funniest thought of, I'm looking at this thing and wondering, does it carry potato salad?
It's inside the cooler.
You know, that took a second. V, I think, understood where I was going
Yep.
with that. We also have Imagine Rel's Book 1, new fantasy art by Julie Dillon. She's created a 22-page fantasy book of original artwork, all having to do with sword and sorcery type of items. This one has only 3 days to go. It ends on Wednesday, August 20th. It has 811 backers. The goal is $15,000. She sits at $32,751. She's already well above her goal and I think her first couple stretch goals.
Nice.
Yeah, but at 30,000 plus, she's going to add a second video download showing the process for illustration of one of the pictures called Downtime. If it gets to 50,000, she's going to add a new illustration to the book and print pack. So it's not very likely to get that high, but she's still well above where she needed to be. It's an impressive grip of art. I need to watch. I'm going to say I need to back this, but I'll probably forget like a couple hours just into the show.
We'll remind you at the end.
Yeah, I'm sure. Want me to go eat myself or something? We have Star Trek Axanar by Axanar Productions of Los Angeles, California. It doesn't say who is behind this, but someone has put together a decent cast and has an idea for an original Star Trek show. It's supposed to follow the ship, which I believe is called Axanar, into the year 2245, 4 years into the war with the Klingons.
This is in the original continuity, correct? Or in the new continuity?
I want to guess... Actually, I want to guess it's just prior to the original continuity. It says that this is the story of Garth of Izar, the legendary Starfleet captain who is Captain Kirk's hero and the role model for a generation of Starfleet officers.
Oh, okay. So it's prequel.
Mm-hmm.
Seems that way. I mean, it has like Richard Hatch from Battlestar Galactica and Tony Todd from several appearances in The Next Generation. Kate Vernon and Gary Graham and J.T. Hertzler all are attached to this show. Well, the Kickstarter has 7 days to go. It ends on August 24th. Has 3,594 backers. The goal to start this is $100,000. I think this has shot up since the last time we checked on it, because it's currently sitting at $273,345. This is a pretty much a done deal. It's just a matter of how high it can go.
I'm certainly curious for it. There's always the danger when you go back in time that you're going to seem like Enterprise had the trouble that a lot of the stuff will look newer than Star Trek.
Enterprise had trouble that a lot of their actors looked extremely similar to each other. If I skipped an episode, I kept getting lost as to who was talking to what.
They look similar to each other? I just thought their acting was bad.
I mean, their acting wasn't that great, but anyone that didn't seem to have a funny accent, at least to me, all looked extremely similar. There was at least 3 characters that I could not tell apart during the course of the show.
Interesting.
Maybe it was all the wooden acting. Everybody just looked like the same plankton.
Well, I always thought that this show was basically written from the perspective of the 2 aliens. Look at all the stupid humans.
All of a sudden, I just have this image of Dr. Plox writing down in a journal, saw stupid monkeys getting drunk on the bridge again.
It's Phlox, just for the record.
Thanks.
True fan.
We have... That's one way to put it. We have Touch Pico, turn any surface into a touchscreen. This is for a device that's kind of a little larger than a big cell phone that supposedly can turn an 80-inch surface into an interactive touchscreen. I wonder how that would work, because you standing in front of it trying to use it, I wonder if that would interfere with the screen.
Well, I suppose it depends on where it's being cast from.
Yeah, but I mean, there's
know.
no, like, your fingers are going to get in the way of light beams no matter what happens. Yeah, I'm curious
Well, that's
about that
how you
too.
type. That's how you affect it.
By getting in the way of light beams? Fair.
Well, this one actually has 10 days to go. It ends on August 26th. Has 1,586 backers. The goal to get this star is $55,000. Currently has $513,826. So this will get made. This is another one of those things where I definitely don't think I can be involved at the beginning. I have to see how this works. I mean, I imagine it's not entirely useless because it seems to have been featured in Mashable, TechCrunch, GigOm/Gear, Gizmodo, Elite Daily, and VentureBeat. So this must be, at least the prototype must function somehow. I am clueless as to how this would work without being obtrusive to it.
Yeah, well, I've heard of like a Wii being hacked to make a keyboard and stuff. Well, not a Wii, a Wiimote, but.
I was about to say, Wii's, hacking Wii's, that seems to happen about as often as people sneezing.
Yeah, I'm also not clear on how that would work.
Well, this one I'm going to have to just take on a bit of faith, simply because I don't have much knowledge in how this would function well.
I could see if it was like projected from beneath an object, but then the object itself would get in the way.
Yeah. Oh well. We also have the Cyberith Virtualizer by Cyberith of Herzogenburg, Austria. That almost hurt. It's supposed to work in conjunction with devices like an Oculus Rift or Sony's Morpheus. It's a rack that kind of pins you in place. So you put socks on this clean surface, and it gives you the sense of running and jumping, and it's getting you fully into the game. It has 14 days to go. It ends on August 31st. It has 463 backers. The goal to get this star is $250,000. Currently sits at $288,216. Something I didn't know last time we talked about this is that this has been seen in The Guardian, NBC News, Wired UK, Red Bull Gaming, Kotaku. There's a symbol here I don't recognize. GameStar, Eurogamer, Gizmodo, PC Games, Golem.de, and IGN. So this is not entirely an unknown device. It's still rather expensive, though, because to get one of these without sensors is $600 backer reward.
Scheisse.
To get one, the early bird at $700, 150 of them all gone.
Wow.
To get the standard version is a $749 donation. To get the standard full package is an $800 donation. And I think that you have to add $79 for what they call the ARM. As I found out, the ARM is a kind of a plastic cable sheeting that will allow you to run the wires from the Oculus up to your head without fear of getting it caught in the Cyberith. There's actually several people that donated $1,049 for the Virtualizer HT full package. It comes with added tactile feedback for maximum immersion. Wonder if that means it punches you in the stomach if you do something stupid. It also adds a Virtualizer power bank, limited edition T-shirt, signed poster, field bombs detonating beside you as you experience your favorite game like you never did before. Prepare yourself for full immersion, mobility, and virtual environments. You still have to add another $79 if you want to get the ARM on this level. I love the fact that it says, field the bombs detonating beside you, and all I have is this image of this guy standing in the Virtualizer, and all of a sudden it throws him back and forth. He looked like one of the hunters from Attack on Titan all of a sudden being shaken by his waist. Looks like you might be able to simulate sitting down in this thing. It has a strap system that helps hook you into it. So it's one of those things I would love to try. I would love to see this at a convention. Let me see. We have Under the Dog was something we picked up on last week. This is by Creative Intelligence Arts Incorporated of Tokyo, Japan. Creative and CIA. I think we talked about one of theirs before. I remember making lame jokes about CIA Incorporated in Tokyo.
I don't remember that.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Actually, it has a list here of other Kickstarters they started. We have talked about them. They did Project Phoenix, the indie RPG. We talked about that one a while ago.
All right.
Well, this one is for an anime. It's a science fiction action thriller that will explore what it means to live and die well, testing the limits of all we hold dear. This one has 21 days to go. It ends on September 7th. Has 2,343 backers. The initial goal to get this started is $580,000. Currently has $169,338. So it's gone up about $50,000 since we checked in last week. It's going to have to accelerate faster than that if they want to make it, though. Let me see. You can actually get a region-free Blu-ray if you donate $60 or more. At $50 or more, you get digital downloads and voiceover commentary by the developers. Now, what do you get for being stupid and spending a whole lot of money? At $10,000, you can meet the production team in Japan. You can go hang out with them. Their artists will assist you in designing a minor character with spoken dialogue for the episode. Of course, transportation and accommodations are not included.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, we really want to meet you. Thank you for the money. Now make your way here, asshole.
Yeah, I'm not interested in things like that simply for that reason.
Well,
Yeah,
to be
neither am
honest,
I.
if you just shelled out $10,000, it's pretty safe to say you could probably afford the plane trip.
Well, yeah, but if it were cheaper than that, like say $500 or something.
Oh yeah.
Well, let me see. We also have Building the Video Game Arena by S.E. Casey of Colorado Springs, Colorado. This guy wants to put together the first esports arena in the U.S. He has, unfortunately, very little information beyond that. You'll understand where this goes after that, because this has 3 days to go. It ends on Wednesday, August 20th. It has 3 backers. The goal to get this started is $250,000. He has $51.
I don't think he's going to make it.
That's
No,
much.
it's another one of these that has a good overview idea of what it is, but it has very little information as to what's going to happen with this $250,000 or a plan that he has to make the building. I mean, this almost feels like a scam at certain levels, because under risks and challenges, he says, I have extensive background in building. I can build this in unoccupied buildings which litter every city's landscape. I have built one before. Like, okay, where's an example of your architecture? Who the fuck are you? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yep.
And he also says he's hosted numerous video game tournaments. Well, every kid that who has a copy of like any Street Fighter ever and a few friends has technically held a video game tournament. So this requires a ton more information, and some people may not be donating simply because a lack of information, a lack of trust. So, is this going to happen? Absolutely not. You probably won't get something like this until you hear that Red Bull sponsored a building. It may be corporate, at least then you know what you're getting, though. We also have the Comic Book Museum by Brian Porter. He is from Orlando, Florida. He wants to create a brick-and-mortar comic book museum where you can actually sit down and read your favorite or vintage comic books. Well, this has 20 days to go. It ends on September 6th. Currently has 2 backers. The goal to get this started is $10 million. Currently has $70.
Made one hell of a surge.
Well, I know last week we kind of ripped this concept apart simply because most comic book fans are not going to want to read vintage comics.
They're not going to want to touch it, though. I'd gladly read it.
Yeah. I mean, we may check out scans and everything of it. Maybe that's a better way to do this, would be to put together scans. Copy famous comic books based on material that's already out there. To actually let people sit down and read these things? Holy
A
fuck.
digital library seems much more attainable.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, don't they already have those?
Actually, I don't think so.
Well,
I think they do. It's called Kick-Ass Torrents. I mean, it's one of those things where, as much as I would like to see vintage comics, even owning one, I'm very, very confident I would never read it. It would stay in plastic or in a hard case somewhere. I'm not going to stick my grubby fingers on it.
someplace out of the sun.
Yeah. We also have Sensationals Issue 2, a superhero and comic book by Shade of Lake Havasu City, Arizona. This is the one I discussed with you guys last week that has 7 main characters that all seem to be different genre stereotypes kind of mixed together in one book of nothing but females.
Oh, yeah.
The tagline on it is, a devastating force has arrived on the shores of Infinity City, hell-bent on destruction. Can 7 unlikely heroines save the city? Infinity City, the Sensationals, characters named M and Sasha Rain and Dollface. There is a whole bunch of 90s stereotypes that are just taking me back to my childhood and reminding me how much it sucked.
And I got a few
Anyway,
sexist jokes on my mind too, for some reason.
Anyone, this one has 21 days to go. It ends on September 7th. It has 33 backers. The goal to get this started is $2,000. Currently has $1,421. It's got a good shot at doing this at the very least. As much as I'm a fan of comic books, this one, I have mixed feelings on this. I still see this character. I'm not sure which one it is. That reminds me of what you call it? It reminds me of Mari from Project A-ko. Every time I look at this particular image, that's all I see. So I don't know. I like independent artists doing their thing, but this one just seems really odd to me. I mean, the one that just looked like a female RoboCop is kind of off-putting. It literally looked like a female 80s RoboCop. Did I show you the image?
Yeah.
Last.
Yeah, you
think
did.
so.
Ah,
I mean, he coming on the large woman in there, I think.
yeah. I know I talked about the Gamma Sex Bomb before. I know Big Girl reminds me almost exactly of Giganta from the Justice League comics. Oh well. We also have Dragged Away, A Night to Remember by Michael G. Calvert of New York, New York. He's putting together a roguelike JRPG where an unknown terrorist is chasing you. He calls it Think Hotline Miami action sequences meet a Final Fantasy VI storyline. The last time, Kefka wasn't saying, it's chasing you all the time. But this one has 16 days to go. It ends on September 2nd. Has 28 backers. The goal to get this started is $3,000. Currently has $1,254. Those 28 backers put together a pretty good amount of money per person. But it's pretty inexpensive to get started. You only need to donate $10 to get the game in early access. When it comes out for retail, the game's only going to be $14. If you donate $30, you get a Making a Dragged Away digital bundle in addition to the game. For donating $50, you can name a weapon or item. For $100, your likeness or a friend or family member you're choosing will be featured in the game as some kind of character. So there's all kinds of possibilities here for people to get involved. The highest level is $3,000. You can actually meet the creator, and this time it doesn't say it doesn't provide travel or accommodation. If you donate $3,000, he will fly to your home to play the game with you and your friends and order pizza.
Sweet.
That's in the
like
U.S.
that
only.
pizza was added.
It's nice of him to actually put himself out at his high level reward instead of just saying, "Well, thank you for your money. Now fly your ass out here." It's just, no, you donate this, I will come to you. Let's get some Domino's, man. Let's hang out. He'll also bring what he calls a special swag bag that includes a couple copies of the game, a signed soundtrack, and other surprises. Does this other surprise include hookers? But there's only one at that level, so if you don't act soon, it's not going to happen. I have a new one here. It's called the Tricera High Tops by Archaix Laboratories of Brooklyn, New York. Or Archaix Laboratories, excuse me. This is a Kickstarter solely for a new set of high tops. It says 65 million years ago, Triceratops went extinct. A year ago, the idea for Tricera High Tops came into our heads. 3 seconds later, the shoes were basically designed. After a lot of Googling to confirm these weren't already a thing, we got to work making them a thing. This has 25 days to go. It ends on September 11th. Has 225 backers. The goal to get this started is $25,000. Currently sits at $19,588.
Wow.
That is impressively fast.
What kind the hell? I'm Googling.
Tricera High Top. If you want, I can just send you the link. You guys could ask me questions,
I'm just like, what the hell kind of shoe is this?
Well, there you click the link. If you donate $99, you get an adult pair of these high tops. It's an interesting design. It's one of those things where I'm kind of on the fence because every time I look at it, I think those are ridiculous. But I would probably wear them. But they're still ridiculous. But I kind of want to wear them.
Your inner child is screaming, "Get him!"
There's
Says
something
he
about
loves
this.
dinosaurs.
I don't want to wear them, but I want to know someone who wears them.
Sounds like a job for your boyfriend. Here, dear.
Could you imagine V like curling up next to him? Merry Christmas, put him on.
Or else.
Put him on. Let's both be horny. It was right there. It was right there.
Yeah. It was.
But let's see. What's the highest level reward here? For donating just $139, you get an adult champion of science pack, the adult shoes, sunglasses, and a polo shirt. Okay. At least this is one of the less expensive high-tier rewards I've ever seen. But hey, if you like unusual shoes, this is a place to go. You'll be the talk of the town after walking around with these. What that talk will be, I make no guarantees.
Depends on where you live. Portland or Austin, probably. No big deal.
What the hell you seeing to make them boots, boy? Last one we have is the Non-Adventures of Wonderella, a hero for all seasons. Somebody has a web comic of Wonderella, and this Kickstarter is basically to put together a print compilation. From what I understand, Wonderella appears to be a drunk bitch. I'm not making that up.
Martini glass in one hand,
But,
broken ball in the other. Yep.
Yeah. This is being done by Justin Pierce of Madison, Wisconsin. This Kickstarter is 18 days to go. It ends on September 4th. Has 536 backers. The goal to get this started is $9,600. Well, he currently has $25,196. So this will be a print book of some sort. I had not heard of this series prior to finding this Kickstarter yesterday. And I take it no one else is familiar.
No.
Okay. If you donate $120 or $25, a custom digital PDF of your likeness as a centaur or mermaid will be sent to you. I don't think I want to be seen as either of those things.
Geared towards women, maybe?
I reserve judgment. I do not know. If you donate just $30, you get a physical copy of the book. So that's all it takes to get started and at least get a product out of this. Other rewards usually involve PDFs, starting at $15. So at least he's getting to turn his web series into an actual book. We can move into the regular news of the week. We usually start off with video game news because we're all gamers. That's no secret. But because of a German convention that happened this week, there's actually a lot more video game news than usual. You guys familiar with Gamescom?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
I have heard of it.
I was not familiar with it until recently, but it actually has more hard news about titles coming out about it than E3 had this year. We'll get into that in a little bit. The first bit of news I have is that the Destiny beta that happened not too long ago and kept me up till 4 in the morning during Comic-Con, I'm still not proud of that. They recently confirmed that all characters made during beta no longer exist.
Okay.
It's a beta.
Dude, Jesse, the
It's a
guys like
beta.
you and me that have been at this for a while, that's not a surprise. The guys that have not been playing video games that long, that's still an irritation.
Welcome to the
Yeah.
club, guys.
There are some games that do retain beta characters. This one did not.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a blow because there were 4.6 million players during the Destiny beta, creating 6.5 million characters, all of which have vanished into the ether.
So it's bound to have to consider the changes they have to make to stabilize the game and make sure there are no hacks or whatnot.
I don't know. The level cap told me that this wasn't going to be long term. When you can stop, when your character's advancement stops at level 8.
Yeah.
There's.
But-
It really only takes an hour and a half of good gameplay to
Yeah.
attain that
To
level.
be honest, at that low level, not a huge loss.
Still, some people are going to be feeling it. There's a bit of Call of Duty news. First off is the fact that Xbox has created a special edition of their console for Call of Duty. It includes some gold artwork. It's a gray box instead of black. It comes with a custom controller that has like a gold D-pad on it, for frick's sake. All kinds of etchings and artwork. It's an interesting looking thing. I already own a one, so I really don't have a desire to go out and buy a special edition Xbox. But and for Call of Duty players, this is going to be a serious thing, because the early review on Kotaku is that the latest Call of Duty, Advanced Warfare, may actually be the big change the Call of Duty franchise is needed. You guys know Call of Duty. There's, at least ever since Modern Warfare came out, the gameplay has been largely similar. It hasn't changed a whole lot over the years. But Modern Warfare came about, 6 years ago, I think?
Yeah, I don't recall.
Okay. Well, they're doing the Advanced Warfare, which means they're getting away from military so much and going sci-fi. It almost seems like this game might be a cross of Halo and Titanfall. I've sent you guys a link so you can take a look. The video's less than 3 minutes. It surprised me by how interesting it looks. At least interesting to me. And the gameplay is almost manic. It's so fast. I'm sure the gameplay videos from a bunch of developers who've tried this a few times and are just going insane.
Someone's go with a sniper rifle.
Yeah. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of jetpack action and sci-fi weapons, cloaking devices. I do like the idea of the grenade that allows you to see enemies no matter where they're hiding.
Well, it's still got the same basic mechanics. I think it's up to Annie with different equipment. More interesting equipment.
Different equipment to me does make the difference. I get so tired of the standard machine gun, pistol, and shotgun combination. I'd like to know what this weird single shot thing he's using is.
It's like the smart gun in Titanfall. It tracks. The bullets track.
I did notice that this is the first shooter I've ever seen where your character swims.
Swims?
Swims.
Oh, swim.
Oh, no. Oh. I know.
I've seen characters that jump into the water, but they're largely running on the bottom of the ocean or running out of air. This one, you actually swim away.
I know. I've seen swimming in one of the modern shooters.
I haven't.
Big Battlefield, maybe.
I haven't seen swimming in Battlefield. All I've seen is megalodons.
Well, when there's megalodons in the water, you don't really want to swim.
That's true. I do have a question as to how many people are in arenas for this new for this new Advanced Warfare, because it seems like every scene in here, the guy's coming across hordes of enemies as he's getting ready to shoot.
Yeah, I recall one of these modern shooter games putting up as many as 128 people in one map. That's a lot of fucking people.
But this game is also going to have a new multiplayer mode. It doesn't say what that mode is. I'm seeing the story on Yahoo News here. But it does talk a little bit about the exo abilities and does compare it to Titanfall. A little late there. Yeah, it says that the general structure is the game. The general structure of the game has been the same since Modern Warfare 2. Advanced Warfare adds the exoskeleton suit. Players have freedom of movement that has not been possible in previous entries. It's one of those things where it sounds interesting. I wouldn't mind playing it. The only thing that's tiresome is listening to 12-year-olds try to insult me.
And fail.
Mute is a wonderful thing.
Well,
Yep.
But it's not just mute. It's just, dude, you're a gay noob. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't live on this game like you little freak. I actually have to go out and do things like watch my kids and have sex with my wife. Enjoy your game.
Have a life.
But there's another video I won't bother to share with you. It appears to be the campaign mode, and you blow up the Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay.
It involves some drone action and different technologies throughout. It you know me, I like campaigns when it comes to shooters as much as I like multiplayer. I like good story. Crytek recently came out with a report that admitted that they delayed paychecks. They did it to avoid insolvency, though.
Okay.
Huh? What?
Crytek is a video game
Yeah,
manufacturer.
they're the ones that do.
Is it the Crysis
Yeah,
games?
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, they delayed paychecks to all of their employees to avoid insolvency. It says a statement by their CEO, Savat Yerli. Quote, some people were very impatient and got angry at the smallest delay. Also, there was a critique of us not being proactive in communication, which we don't understand, because we've been frequently in the UK, as well as every other studio, talking about potentially rough times. We even shared with people how they should maybe work with different banks at a personal level to prepare. Or if not, they can make a choice to resign and look for other jobs, quote.
Damn.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
harsh. He actually goes on, quote, you have two choices, right? Either delay payments, again, delay. It's not that they don't get paid, they got delayed. Delay payments and salvage the company, or you push your cash flow directly to the studios and you file for insolvency. Both options are really bad, so you have to make the better of the two bad decisions. However, we had promised to everybody, and we said the company is not at a big risk, not a danger, it just needs more time to salvage, and that's what we did. Now, everybody got paid, plus inconvenience payments additionally to that, like we promised everybody, unquote. He's talking about pay, but he seems to be glossing over other problems within the company, obviously.
Yeah, well, it kind of makes me wonder. Okay, they paid them, and then they paid them extra for the inconvenience. How did they afford the extra?
I don't know, maybe they gave him a free copy of Crysis.
I'm sure
Better
they
give them a
already
machine
had
that
that.
can run it.
Yeah. And he has another quote here. Actually, two. Quote, but I understand the situation. Some people live in very tight financial planning. That's their own privacy. They can do whatever they want. Those guys, when they get under pressure, it can become emotional. We tried to individually help out. Like if somebody gets in trouble, they can talk to us directly so they don't get under pressure. We tried whatever we could do, but you don't make it right for everybody, unquote. They tried to help out so they don't get under pressure. The whole company is under fucking pressure. I don't know what this guy is. He seems to be doubling back a couple times here in his words. Allegations apparently ran wild, according to a story on Screw Attack, that the majority of Crytek UK walked out on the job, one of which stated upper management was condescending to staff and told them they were lucky to be paid at all during the company's financial rough patch. In response to that, the CEO, Yerli, said, quote, I have never, ever used these words before. This is complete bullshit. I would never, ever say to somebody, hey, guys, you're lucky you got paid. What we have communicated to the team is we have two choices. Either we let people go immediately and pay the remainder, or we can't pay you right now and we stick together. We chose for the team itself. This is the reason not to downsize, unquote. Sounds like you already have a reason to downsize, unfortunately. If you're that close to insolvent that you have to withhold pay for a certain period, you're doing something fucking wrong.
Yeah, I would like a reason as to why they're suffering from that, but at the same time, at least the guy's being proactive about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely got a plan.
Yeah. This whole thing focuses so much on pay without actually discussing, you know, are your sales down? Are your corporate pays too high? You know, what's the problem here? So there's something else that needs answering.
Now, one of the other questions I'd like to know is, did he get paid during that time?
I would bet probably.
And that is my issue. You know, you can sit there and say, oh, yeah, well, other people, you know, they don't plan well and everything else, and we tried to help them through it. Well, if you're getting paid, fucker, you're in the same boat at that point.
Especially since he's probably getting paid like 3 times what they're all getting paid.
Yeah.
Which I just, that makes me angry.
Yeah. Well, At this point, I'm just glad I never bought into Crysis. As much as I wanted to try it, if this is the kind of guy running things, I don't need to support that.
No, they also did Far Cry and Rise of Rome.
Haven't played either one.
Okay.
I'm in the clear! DLNA and USB support is coming to Xbox One.
What was that first one?
There's DLNA. See, they're adding a new media player to the Xbox One. It will actually allow it to play more than just streamed videos. It'll actually be able to play things like AVIs and MKVs. Which some people are saying that's kind of funny that the Xbox is supporting piracy. MKVs is the favorite video format of video downloaders. But they're adding a new friend section, a new Snap Center. Threaded messages will be available so that people can multitask. The media player is going to be added, and support for things like MPEG-2, TS, animated GIFs, and MKV will be added by the end of the year. There's going to be a digital TV tuner added, a stream to smart glass added as well, and a boot to TV option. In other words, as soon as you turn it on, it's going to go directly to your TV feed if you're running your cable box through it. It's pretty impressive. World of Warcraft players, have you seen the new designs for trolls?
No.
I don't know how different it is. Kotaku has a story that says these are new designs for trolls. I am not familiar. They do look somewhat different from what I know. Or maybe it's just the fact that they're blue instead of green.
I see what's going on.
I don't.
Yeah, it's just better detailing is what it is.
Oh, that's it? They've upped their graphics?
Yeah, pretty much. That's all it really is.
Oh, okay. That's a little disappointing. At this point, they really need to update the game. They got to do something beyond a refresher to get some playership back. Has anyone here played the Silent Hill games?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I don't know who's into survival horror games, but Silent Hill is one of the heavyweights in the franchise. I don't think that can be denied. But they're getting a refresher. They're making a new game called Silent Hills, plural. And this has some surprising strength behind it. Guillermo del Toro, the movie director,
Crap.
Nice.
he's on it with Hideo Kojima. The two of them are working together to create this game, and they're not the only ones attached to it. The game has a star already. Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead is the main character.
Huh.
Which one is that?
Not only Daryl,
That's what I thought.
the likeness of the main character even looks like him. They've
Oh man, they're
They
going to
haven't
get
put
the
out-
female community. So.
yeah, there's a 4-minute video already on the internet. It appears to have some gameplay to it. It's not a promo for sure. I have not played the games. This looked relatively creepy. Silent Hill, I remember, was one of those games that was kind of infamous because for a large amount of the gameplay, there's no background music whatsoever. So you're just kind of wandering around this dark place with nothing more than a flashlight to illuminate.
Man, that's creepy.
Yeah. So I'm going to follow the development with some interest. Another announcement that's come out is the new game of Wild. It's a very different type of game. It's done by the creator of Rayman. You play as animals. That doesn't sound too different because, after all, people have played as Yoshi in Mario Kart. But in this game, you're near the dawn of man, and you get to play different animals in their struggles for survival, including wolves and bears and all kinds of different creatures. You even play some tribal Neanderthals, it looks like, at some point. It's an interesting idea. How well it plays out it's going to be a bit of a question, though. This will be a PS4 exclusive.
Oh.
Speaking of exclusives, some people are goddamn pissed. It was announced at Gamescom that the sequel to the last Tomb Raider game, this one is going to be called Rise of the Tomb Raider. It has become an Xbox PC exclusive.
Only for a limited time.
Yeah.
Really?
There was a huge backlash from that. The guy in charge said, "Yeah, it's for a limited time. Everyone else is gonna have to wait a little bit."
That wasn't in the story I read, but I highly suspected that was the direction it would go. Since it would just be... it wouldn't be suicide for this to be an Xbox exclusive, but it wouldn't make much sense.
Considering how long it took the previous game to be what they consider a hit.
Well, it took a while for it to get off PlayStation.
I mean, how long it took them to get enough sales to greenlight a sequel?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing something similar with Destiny too. Like PlayStation gets early access to some of the Destiny content. There's rumors that it's because Bungie doesn't like Xbox after their little thing with Xbox on the contract and all that. But I think it's far more likely Sony just paid them more.
More than likely. Speaking of Xbox, Xbox has announced they're putting out a 1 terabit option.
Damn.
All the previous Xbox Ones and most PS4s I know are 500 gig devices. But Microsoft is putting out a 1 terabyte option that's coming out as part of the Call of Duty pack. The one with the console we mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's smart. I mean, a lot of people are going for digital download now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, not only that, the retail on this is $499. It doesn't come with a Kinect, but it comes with a much larger hard drive and the game and the custom controller.
Yeah, better money spent more wisely. That didn't come out right.
Well, Gamescom also had the first view of a game I've been waiting for called Quantum Break. This was one of the bigger announcements when they came out with the Xbox One. Quantum Break centers around somebody who gets caught in a scientific accident and now has developed new powers to be able to change the flow of time in his immediate area, including time stoppages. It creates for some very strange gameplay. You guys want a video?
Shoot.
It is 8 minutes long. We will not go through the whole thing, but it may give you a sense at least of how it plays. And the promo video was very interesting. The gameplay video that came out here, it really does make me want to sit down and play the game. I mean, it starts out with it looked like the main character, probably not long after his accident, waking up in some kind of construction. It looks like building construction, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Or abandoned building.
Yeah. They built a nice city environment.
It's pretty.
Yeah, I don't...
What?
I was looking at the graphics, it's not... Is this going to come out on console, or...
It's Xbox One, I know that for sure.
Right.
It's probably going to come out on PS4, judging by the prompt markers there with blue X.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it, it seems like the frame rate doesn't seem to be as high as I expected a modern game to be. But this might be the prototype, or the demo reel.
Yeah, frame rates are not highly important to me because that's all subjective. We're looking at this video technically secondhand through YouTube.
Well, they're up their ante. They're accepting 60 frames per second.
Yeah, it's like that guy who actually tried to sue Sony just because the multiplayer was not native 1080.
Stupidest things to sue over.
Yeah. A minute 46 and you actually get into the action in the game.
And stop, move to a new location. He can make a great sniper. Oh, wow. Nice distortion.
Yeah. And super punch.
Oh, haven't seen that yet. Oh, boy.
The fact that he stops time around other areas and shoots bullets into them is kind of mean, in my opinion.
It's
like setting up the moment where somebody dies.
It gives you a nice reason to be an asshole.
Wonder if there is a multiplayer section of this. Can you imagine running across and all of a sudden just stopping and 8 bullets hit you in the forehead?
I'm not sure how that can work considering time is a mechanic of the game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure multiplayer is not in this thing. Now, the thing with the grenades kind of threw me because it looked like it went off before he started running. It turns out that's one of the time distortion wakes.
He's gone.
I can't tell if the gameplay in this one is more complicated than most other shooters, or if the player's making it a little difficult on himself.
More than likely, the player's making it difficult on himself. But, given the time powers he has, it gives you an excuse to play a little stupid.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, I think we should move on from there because this could take a while. Regarding World of Warcraft, the collector's edition of Temple of Osiris has been announced. I don't have a whole lot of details, but you can pre-order. World of Warcraft. Warlord to Draenor?
Temple of Osiris.
Sorry. Well, that's another deal on the same story. I was talking about World of Warcraft Warlord to Draenor. It's out on Amazon for pre-order at $89.99. It's supposed to hit on November 13th. Temple of Osiris was the Tomb Raider game that PlayStation players were mad with because the announcement about the Xbox exclusivity on Rise of Tomb Raider said, no, you won't be able to play that game, but you can play Temple of Osiris! And the streaming started. So those people lost their goddamn heads. The future of Oculus Rift has been told according to the man that put it together. Palmer Luckey. That's his actual name, Palmer Luckey. He sounds like a thief. He says that regarding the future of Oculus, quote, the games industry is the only industry with the tools and the talent to build immersive 3D real-time environments. As time goes on, it's not so much that VR is going to expand to other industries, it's that the games industry is going to expand to do things in other industries, whether it's architecture or virtual holidays or film. The people that are making games or making VR games today are going to be doing these types of things in the future, unquote. What do you think of that?
I think we're all heading towards a singularity.
Well, I didn't mean the cosmic end of the planet Earth, V. He goes on to say, quote, virtual reality and augmented reality are going to end up using a lot of the same technologies and are probably converge into the same hardware. And it will probably get to a point where it's something you can wear all day, every day. That's going to take a long time, though, unquote.
An interesting theory.
It's one that could pan out. I don't know. I can't predict
I'm
this.
more worried about how it's gonna really I can't put the thoughts together, but distance ourselves from being social creatures by being stuck in a digital world, I guess. I don't know. I can't.
Welcome, Sword Art Online.
Exactly.
I don't know. There's nothing about virtual life that appeals to me more than my real life. It's fun and everything, but I don't want to live there.
Japan's gonna be all over that.
Oh, dude, Japan. Yeah, the Japanese will suddenly become a legend. And I don't mean they're so powerful. I mean, there were these crazy people on an island, and then we came out with VR, and they were never heard from again.
They're a myth.
They vanished within 10 years. I mean, it's no secret by now that Robin Williams has passed.
Yeah.
There was a fan petition to put Robin Williams in the next Zelda game.
There was one put a memorial for him in World of Warcraft.
I don't have the details on that story. This one regarding The Legend of Zelda, it was a petition with over 100,000 signatures to put the likeness of Robin Williams or a character named Robin Williams in the next Zelda game. He thoroughly enjoyed The Legend of Zelda. He actually named his daughter Zelda. So Nintendo has offered a response to the petition that says, quote, "We appreciate the outpouring of support from the gaming community and hear the request of fans to honor him in a future game. We will not be discussing what might be possible for future games during this difficult time, but we will hold our memories of Robin close," unquote.
Well, from the article I read about the World of Warcraft thing is, they are going through it. They are going to... Actually, no, I cannot say that because I didn't get the follow-up. I just heard about it. But I do know for a fact that he actually played World of Warcraft back in vanilla days, actually.
I don't know.
And he played it at inception, basically.
Okay. Well, Robin Williams was a huge nerd. I mean, he played all kinds of video games. Evangelion was one of his favorite animes, you know. He did all kinds of stuff just in his private life. Sony is also... a lot of people are calling the video game console wars over because PS4 has hit 10 million in sales. And they still have not released the console for sale in Japan yet. I don't understand why not. But, yeah, a lot of people are saying the console wars are over. Xbox has sold 5 million Xbox Ones. Now, I know a lot of people are very into this. I want to say I don't understand at all. I mean, we just hit the 25th anniversary of the Genesis. I remember how, when Sega put that out, wasn't a great seller. Then the games started coming.
Yeah.
You know, and that was technically what you would call the first console war. I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to play games.
Yeah.
I just liked games. You know, when I had enough money to pick one or the other, I admit Titanfall made it pretty easy which system to pick. Not because Xbox is, you know, so terrific and everything, but I knew which games I wanted to play. I was also thinking about my future because I could play Titanfall now. I can play Halo later. And now I found out I can play Kingdom Hearts 3 on this thing. So I'm happy with my purchase. I don't need to be in the biggest community of gamers because, you know, sometimes they tend to be the biggest dicks, too. So, yeah, I don't understand why some people are saying, the console wars are over. I'm the one saying, who fucking started them?
I'm
Not to mention the fact that
cares?
Yeah.
you know, you're not going to get rid of the Xbox that easily. And even if you do, there's going to be something else to replace it. You're not just going to have one console.
Yeah, there were some interesting stories because it was announced that Microsoft lost $400 million in the last fiscal year on the Xbox One division, or the Xbox division. You know, nothing to sneeze at. But I know Sony made money on theirs, but the problem is that Sony is losing money in just about every other division they have. So it's kind of a más o menos. You know, Microsoft lost some money in one division, but they're still gaining money in most other ways they work. Sony gained money on their gaming division, but you know, there's some serious worry, as far as I understand, about their long-term viability.
So Microsoft's a better business with a so-so console, or Sony's got a great console and a so-so business practice.
Pretty much.
The former will win.
You know, it does mean. Well, I mean, even if Sony went away, I doubt PlayStation would die. They'd probably sell that division to try and, you know, make as much money as they can. But at the same time, there's some issues that need to be worked out over at Sony. And that's coming from someone who loves their products. I love my Sony gear, frankly. Going on to Marvel Media News. Amazon has decided to pick a fight with Disney.
Really?
How?
Well, Amazon is not offering DVD pre-orders of upcoming Disney releases, including Maleficent and Captain America Winter Soldier.
They're
having a standoff similar to one they had with Warner Brothers earlier this year. I don't know what the details are. It's got to be some kind of contractual thing.
Okay.
But until they work this out, Amazon will not allow pre-orders of two of, I guess you could say, arguably the bigger releases from the summer movie season.
You know what? Their loss.
This includes other titles from Disney that they're not going to do pre-orders for, including Muppets Most Wanted and $1 Million Arm. This is I mean, it's It's not a big deal to everybody. It's a big deal to me because I get a lot of movies off Amazon. They have the selection I'm looking for. They have the older out-of-print stuff I'm looking for. And I don't need to go hunting for it like I had to do in the 90s. Steve remembers those trips. Going to multiple stores because everybody was fucking sold out.
Oh, yes.
Oh, God. So, does that mean that the sales of any of these movies are going to suck? No. There still are brick-and-mortar stores out there that are going to be carrying a lot of these movies.
Amazon's not going to get their piece of the pie of that.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, is that Amazon also has a lot of leverage because they are definitely the biggest e-commerce website out there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Marvel did give a gift to James Gunn, though, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's no secret that the movie has done a lot better than anyone really predicted it was going to do. It's turned to one of the bigger... It's turned to one of the bigger releases they've had recently.
Especially for end of the summer.
Probably.
Except us.
Well, there's projections.
We totally knew it was going to be awesome.
We had hopes. There's projections it may actually do better than The Winter Soldier as far as movie take. But here's the thing. To give James Gunn a thank you on his 44th birthday, which passed on August 10th, they gave James Gunn the power of the universe.
Eh?
They gave him an Infinity Gauntlet? Oh.
No. For his 41st birthday, he received a replica of the Power Stone. The one Josh Brolin, not Josh Brolin, the one that, what's his name, Ronan the Accuser held up during the movie. You got a copy of it.
Nice. Was it in that little capsule thing?
I have no freaking clue. I hope not. Because I would hate that. I would be one of those people that would have that up on a small pedestal above my mantle, and as soon as people approached it, don't touch it! It could kill us all!
Or it could be worse. There could be a troll inside it.
And I think we've talked about the concept art of the Nova that almost was in the movie.
No. I've seen...
You didn't know that Richard Rider apparently was a hairbreadth away from being in this film?
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's actual concept art that was mixed in among other concept art of profile of Richard Rider.
I've seen them recently.
Yeah. So the Nova himself could have been in it. So that's leading to speculation that one of the new releases that could come out soon may be an actual Nova film. You'll have to portray him a hell of a lot differently than you did in the Guardians of the Galaxy because they didn't have any of the aspects I expected.
You mean the Rent-A-Cops that they had?
Yeah. They weren't Rent-A-Cops. I mean, they were viable soldiers, but when I think about the Nova Corps, I think about all of them flying and throwing gravitational blasts. You know, the fact that they were riding around little starships, I didn't mind so much, but I'm sitting there and just, there was that voice in the back of my mind going, that's pretty cool, but they're not Novas. Gunn has started talking about the sequel that has already been greenlit. He's working on. He is not planning for he's not planning necessarily for another Howard the Duck appearance, but he does say that regarding the collector's museum that was destroyed on Nowhere, he says that may not be the entirety of his collection. That may have just been the Nowhere wing of his collection.
I believe it.
He has also said that he has confirmed at least one more Guardian will be featured in the next film. So there's speculation as to who that could be. And he has confirmed that Jason of Spartax will not be Star-Lord's father.
So it's in the air who his daddy is.
Well, there's one guess that was kind of interesting. Somebody said Adam Warlock may be his dad.
I saw that. Yeah.
That would fit in line with the clues that were there already, and frankly, he would be in my top 5 guesses for who the new Guardian would be. You know, I mean, the 5 guesses I had would be Adam Warlock, Mantis, Cosmo, Captain Marvel, and Bug.
Who?
Bug.
I'm familiar with that.
Bug was from the Micronauts originally, and he somehow made it from the Micro Universe into the regular one. He's one of those cult characters who, during a recent run of the comics, turned into one of the more popular characters. So did Mantis. It's one of those things where I could sit here and explain it to you, but it would take fucking ever.
Another time, then.
Vin Diesel has teased that he's getting involved in a new Marvel project,
Yeah.
though. The quote he put on his Facebook was, Vin and Marvel, you all made it happen. I get the strange feeling Marvel thinks I'm inhuman. Unquote. All I can say is, I mean, it's been no secret that Marvel has been trying to put together the Inhumans since they don't have access to the X-Men right now. All I can hope is that if you're going to cast Vin Diesel as an Inhuman, make him Black Bolt so I don't have to hear him.
That's what everyone is saying.
You know, that would be the best thing I could hope for. Just stand there and be mute.
Yeah, that takes quite a bit of acting, though, to really kind of get your message across while not speaking. I don't know if I want to give Vin Diesel that role.
Well, he's not the one that gets anything across, though. In most comics, Black Bolt just kind of sits or stands while Medusa does all the talking.
Yeah.
I can deal with that.
So if they do that, it's gonna be another easy, multi-million-dollar deal for him. Just sit there and just look menacing.
It's within his range of acting ability. Let's put it that way. But Marvel has already started shopping out Inhumans to different filmmakers. They haven't said who, but there is a report that Joe Robert Cole has turned in an Inhuman script. He did a movie called Amber Lake. I'm not familiar. So they're shopping for directors right now. Looks like this is an actual thing. But speaking of Marvel movies, there's been word that a Marvel hero that's dead in comics may actually appear in the Ant-Man film. Did you guys know that Scott Lang, the Ant-Man, had a daughter?
Nope.
Hope, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Wasn't that the reason why he stole the suit and did shit?
Yes, that was the reason why Scott Lang stole the suit, was because his daughter Cassie was sick.
Yeah.
She, after she got over it and got better, she ended up stealing some of the Pym particles that Scott Lang himself had stole. So she turned into a size changer and named herself Stature. She died in the comics in a recent Young Avengers adventure. But it looked like a version of her is going to be added into the movie. That's kind of a big thing. I don't want to say she died unceremoniously, but she died sacrificing herself. So she's turned into one of those cult characters that a lot of fans want to see back.
Can't the dead stay dead?
It's Phoenix, Bucky, Cyclops, Superman, Batman.
I think the answer he's trying to say is no.
Nightcrawler,
Colossus,
Daredevil, Colossus, Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde died?
3 different versions of the Doom Patrol.
Oh, I guess I'm not
sort of. 3 different versions of the Doom Patrol.
Multiple Robins.
Oh, I'm running out of air. See, Michael Fassbender has pitched a Magneto story in regards to the X-Men universe for Fox. Doesn't say anything about how successful it was, but he would really like to have a solo Magneto film. When somebody from IGN asked him what he would like to see from the character, he said, quote, "Well, I really can't tell you. I want it to be in the next one. I've had these conversations with Simon, and there's a certain strand of his story I think is pretty interesting and would like to explore if we could," unquote. I'd give him rein, man. Fassbender has turned Magneto into a heck of an interesting character on film. So I would like to see. I'd like to see what his idea is.
I would watch it.
Last bit of Marvel media news I have is that Michael B. Jordan, the black actor who's playing Johnny Storm in the new Fantastic Four reboot, he said that they have a fresh take on the iconic character.
Well, they're already showing some of it.
You mean his skin? Okay. He said, quote, "We knew we had a lot of obstacles in the way, and we had a lot of mountains to move, For whatever reason, things just fell into place, and Fox believed in the situation and believed in me, and yeah, we got it done."
I say that's a mountain range they need to jump over.
Yeah, he said, "Johnny Storm is such an iconic character. There's a lot of personality traits and things to him that people are really going to look forward to seeing. Got a lot of original Johnny stuff in there, and you have not a new take, but a fresh take. we have a different take on different things as well. I could go on and on about it, but I think this is something people will enjoy, unquote.
Yeah. I'll reserve judgment.
I don't know. Johnny always kind of annoyed me. He's just immature at such a huge level.
He is a generally one-beat character. He did say he talked to Chris Evans, the guy who played Johnny Storm prior, and got his okay on it. I don't know why you need Chris Evans okay, because the Johnny Storm he played, that was not a good role for Chris Evans. That was the role that as soon as he got cast as Captain America, a lot of people said, "Really, you want that guy to do it?"
May not have been his fault.
But I didn't say it was his fault, but they definitely didn't care about Chris Evans or his approval. So I just don't know. I can't say. I'm losing faith in Fox when it comes to these movies, because as interesting as Days of Future Past was, it was also disappointing to me.
Really?
I liked it okay, but there was a lot that I couldn't get my head around. The fact that early on Wolverine tells Kitty Pryde, what if somebody could heal his mind? As soon as I heard that, I'm just like, then your entire origin is bullshit. If you could heal your mind, then your memories would not be at issue. So every movie that came prior was technically a big gaping plot hole.
Well, it might not have thought about it until now.
We will move into DC media news. The Warner Brother president says that the Justice League will come soon after Batman v Superman. They asked him about changing the date from off of Captain America to March. It says, quote, "The reality now is there really isn't a bad week to open a movie. If you look at the summer box office this year, you can see that there were so many movies, one after the other. You can start with Spider-Man, 2 weeks later Godzilla, and then Maleficent, then Edge of Tomorrow, and then Jump Street, and Transformers. The one thing they all had in common is not one of them did over $250 million. We'll be the first one up in 2016, which is very important. We'll have 6 weeks before Captain America comes in," unquote. I don't know if he noticed, but Spider-Man didn't do that great, and Edge of Tomorrow flopped, and Jump Street, while it took number one, was a low number one. He's almost setting up the argument against himself there. No, I'm sorry. He's saying here the reason why we did is because there's not a bad week to open a movie. I say the reason why he did is because they realized that Captain America is stronger than Batman and Superman.
Soldier with a shield beats out the Detective and a Man of Steel. Wow.
Talk about news, right? There's also word coming out via IO9 that the storyline on Lex Luthor's involvement in the series or in the movie. Apparently, the film will take over immediately. It will take place immediately after Man of Steel. So just after Superman gets done knocking down half of Metropolis. The quote on IO9 is, quote, "He went on to talk about the time frame of the movie and where it picks up, saying that it starts as the battle between Superman and General Zod ends or is ending, which would explain all the damage building and vehicles we've been seeing in photos. And Batman/Bruce Wayne is attempting to make his way to the Wayne Tower in Metropolis," unquote.
Seems like it's going to be a power struggle between Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor in rebuilding the city.
I don't know. It's called Batman v Superman, so obviously punches are going to be traded. They go on to say, Badass Digest anonymous source confirms the information about LexCorp, adding that Luthor has salvaged bits from the World Engine to synthesize kryptonite. His possession of Zod's corpse is also apparently the key to his plan to defeat Superman. He's using tissue from Zod to do it. They hint at this plot being lifted from one of the few comic plot lines which involves Superman being defeated, unquote. So cloning Zod, could that be their version of Bizarro?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm probably going to see this in theaters because I need to be able to talk to it, but I don't have the highest of hopes on this one. It's very definitively being based on a lot of the Frank Miller stuff. If they had followed that story, that would have gotten me in the theater with my mouth shut. But the fact that they've adapted it into this thing where it doesn't take place in the future anymore, it takes place in the current, and Batman's already old, and there's no Carrie Kelly, and they're throwing in all these other characters to hurriedly set up the Justice League before they actually give a lot of them suitable origins. I'm not digging this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I get it. I totally get it.
So that's me. I'm sure there's a lot of DC fans that are saying, "Shut up, you don't know what you're talking about." That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I would like to see a lot of these characters get decent spotlights first. To his credit, though, Ben Affleck is shaking off a lot of the negative stuff that's come out online about him as soon as he took the Batman role. Said, quote, "Before I took the role, Warner Brothers gave me a bunch of past reactions to casting and said, 'Are you sure you want to get into this? This is part and parcel of these movies now. There's a lot of active fans with a lot of opinions.' To me, having been through a certain amount of that, it doesn't really... Everyone's entitled to their opinion." Unquote.
Even the changing his sentence halfway through?
He does go on. It says, quote, "It's great that people do care that much. They want to see the movie that much. And it's incumbent on you to honor the story. There are these Greek myths, and these people are American myths. The American myths are these superheroes. People care about them a lot." Unquote.
Well, that's true.
He at least understands the situation. He understands the situation he's in pretty well. He's not getting angry or acerbic or anything, and he understood that this is going to come with a lot of nasty words via, the usual goobers on the internet. And here we sit. But, he was the one that initially a lot of people made fun of, but I think we were the ones who kept saying, wait till it comes out. This could actually rule.
Look what they had when Michael Keaton, when he took the mantle.
Oh, absolutely. People said the same thing about both him and Val Kilmer. That's the worst casting I've ever heard. Movie comes out, okay, I reserve judgment.
Val Kilmer. Which one was that one?
That was that Batman Forever? That was the one with Two-Face and the Riddler.
Oh.
He made a pretty good Batman. He seemed a little uncomfortable as Bruce Wayne, though. Almost like he was playing Bruce Wayne just so he could get back in the cape and cowl and something else. But Warner Brothers is going forward with an Aquaman movie, though. They've sent out a request for scripts, but the reason why this seems a little odd to me is that they've sent out a request for scripts by two different movie makers at the same time.
Who?
Let me see. I'm trying to scan the story because I've read this in other places and made this. Here we go. Will Beall and Kurt Johnstad have both been hired to work on an Aquaman script, but they're not working together. Each of them is turning in their own screenplay. It's a very strange idea. Beall was hired in 2012 to pen a Justice League movie. In 2013, they scrapped it due to lack of quality.
That's not a good sign.
So I know. So you hire this guy to do it again? And then the other one, Johnstad, doesn't make me any more confident. Because while he has close ties to Zack Snyder, who's directing Batman v Superman and directed Man of Steel, he co-wrote the screenplays for 300 and 300 Rise of an Empire.
Mm-hmm.
I like 300.
I'd like 300 once. Yeah. After that, I never needed to see it again. It sucked in replay.
I haven't seen it a second time, so...
So I am not terribly confident in either of these screenwriters. And I really don't know why you hire the both of them separately, since they seem to have turned in stuff that doesn't wow you. You need to get them to work together and see if they either turn in the best movie they can make, or some kind of schlock that will make it onto Mystery Science Theater.
They're the only ones who agreed to give it a shot.
Oh, that could be. Maybe they all read Aquaman. I'm not working on that piece of shit. Young Justice actually came out on Blu-ray. The Malign series had made it only two long seasons before it was canceled because it didn't sell enough shit for boys.
Stupid.
Fuck. It was put out this week on Blu-ray. The entire the 2-disc release collects the first 26 episodes in its entirety. Season 2 is going to hopefully come via streaming or disc. But the only way to let people know that we want this series back would be to buy the Blu-rays, unfortunately. Because letters, fan show-ups at conventions have definitely not gotten the message across to Warner Brothers. Do you also remember last week we talked about that new Assault on Arkham animated feature? The review on Newsarama was pretty damn dismal. There was a new review that came out on Kotaku that was very positive. They liked it immensely for all kinds of reasons. One of them, of course, was seeing Harley Quinn topless. apparently the reason that came forth was she had a sex scene with Deadshot.
Who?
Another Batman character. It would take not a long time, but I don't think he'd be terribly interested. This review, it was very positive on a lot of levels. It did say it failed to add some complexity to Harley Quinn's character. I watched the clips that were attached to this. The acting in this is so goddamn awful. I wonder if he was watching the same show. Do you guys like to see a 1.5-minute long clip?
Shoot.
Riddle me this. When is a door not a door? It feels like drowning, doesn't it? When the answer
The opening monologue is obvious which character that is, but it feels like it definitely feels like he's reading something.
The answer? When it's ajar. Here's an easy one. What runs around a city but never moves? No? A wall.
What do you want, Enigma?
I'm in charge.
This reminds me of the Newsarama review, actually, where they said that it felt like characters that were talking to each other were just in two separate rooms.
But others use it more than you do.
Your name.
Huh? You've heard that one.
No.
It just doesn't feel like actors reading lines to each other or even really getting into it.
Why do you talk to me like this, Waller?
Simple. I needed to keep you babbling long enough to pinpoint your position.
My... what?
Those are the least threatening sounding cops I've ever heard.
Riddle me this.
Take him out. Make it hurt.
Riddle me this. Why didn't I quit when I
Oh
was
my
ahead?
god, this is painful.
The Google line was good.
What is it? Report!
The Riddler is mine.
See, you hear Kevin Conroy at the end, and all of a sudden, like, the tension actually ratchets up a couple notches. But unfortunately, Batman plays into this very little, so I don't think this will do well.
I think a couple of the bad voice acting and very stilted animation.
Yeah. It just amazes me that you got all these cops. Here's definitely one of the most dangerous guys in all of Gotham City. And what does he say? Get on the ground. Like he's ordering coffee from a barista.
And usually in that situation, it isn't just one guy yelling that.
Yeah. Last bit of DC media news I have is that the Guardians of the Galaxy may have inspired Warner Brothers to get back behind the Justice League Dark movie Guillermo del Toro was trying to get done.
Good.
Apparently they have it in their mind now to finally start digging deeper into the DC pantheon to find unusual projects because, if the Talking Raccoon and Tree can create sales like that, then a movie featuring Deadman and Frankenstein should do pretty well, right?
Meh.
That's part of Justice League Dark is Frankenstein's monster.
I mean,
they are...
Go.
Well, Justice League Dark is a harder sell for me because even though it has the title Justice League, that's about the only connection it has to any of these series. All the characters have never been on a Justice League team before. All the characters have mystic backgrounds, whereas, Guardians of the Galaxy was a little simpler, and it's a sci-fi romp.
Right.
So, I'm not saying a Justice League Dark film would fail, not in the least. But it's a harder thing to get across in promos than, look, here's a raccoon with a really big gun. Then the last time they tried Constantine in a movie, it didn't go well. I don't quite understand that. I actually enjoyed the Constantine movie pretty thoroughly.
I know a lot of people that did.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people make fun of it because it was Keanu Reeves. He turned in pretty good. It wasn't the English version, but for an American version of Constantine, I thought it was pretty good. He was just as cynical as you would think he would be.
Maybe not quite as much of a dick as I've heard he's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's true. General media news, where we talk about things that don't fit into the Marvel and DC pantheons. I still don't believe that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the biggest movie for the last 2 weekends.
Yeah, that is a little interesting. I can't say I'm too surprised. It's Michael Bay.
Well, he only produced it. He didn't direct it at all.
Yeah.
So he was the one responsible for signing contracts. He actually didn't have anything to do with the artistic vision of the film. This was somebody else's gig. So this is very strange to me. Brandon put up a story that says that somehow they're fudging the numbers so it looks like Turtles is the biggest one. If you check the numbers, he says that Guardians of the Galaxy is still the biggest film since its debut. I guess that may be true if you add up like the the international sales instead of just the domestic.
Mm.
But it definitely seems like as far as domestic audiences, they want to see turtles more than they want to see raccoons and trees.
Yeah, it's more nostalgia factor with the turtles.
Probably a lot of people going to see it thinking it's going to be like the cartoon.
Yeah, I'm just not driven to see it. But the success was already enough that Fox I think Fox put it out. But they've already convinced themselves to greenlight the sequel, and Michael Bay is producing again.
Really? Oh, producing.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's not technically his movie. He produced the first one. He didn't make it.
Basically, he's shelling out the money for it.
So, yeah, well, producers, their roles are not just shelling out money. They're the ones who sign the contract. They find the talent that generally, or at least create the contract for the talents that put these things together. You know, they work out the timing schedules. Everything producer does is technical. They don't actually pick up a camera.
So
they don't create the art. They don't.
They're the manager.
They may approve certain things, but
yeah.
Okay.
Long story short, yeah. So while his name is attached to it, that really doesn't mean he had a whole lot to do with the movie other than setting people up to work on it. So all those people that say this is what you get when you let Michael Bay make movies, no, this is what you get when you let Michael Bay sign contracts for movies.
No, you get Transformers on the other end of that.
Well, that's when he makes movies. Resident Evil may be getting a TV series.
That could be interesting.
Duh.
It could.
It's a loose adaptation. Let's put it that way, because the TV series itself is called Arklay. According to the synopsis and the initial pitch, quote, inspired by the Resident Evil franchise, Arklay is a new scripted survival horror series that delves into the mysterious homicide of Raccoon City. When Detective James Reinhardt is thrust into a series of bizarre homicides, he unravels the city is hiding a dark conspiracy. Learning a fatal virus is connected to it all, Reinhardt discovers it's already coursing through him. With time no longer on his side, he must solve the conspiracy to save his own life, unquote.
He's gonna die.
You know what, though? As a concept for a TV series, I have heard shit tons worse than that.
Yeah.
You know, I watched the Bionic Woman TV series, the new one, okay? This sounds much better than that. Hell, Grimm doesn't sound that interesting on paper. You know, Grimm is Buffy in a midlife crisis, basically.
I've watched one or two of the Resident Evil movies, and no. I don't think of...
Well, those were the movies. I mean, the movies were action, schlock, and popcorn films at best. A TV series does have an advantage, because if you can get through a full season, that's 12 hours of storytelling.
Yeah, and they actually have more time to
Much
actually
better
develop shit, but... I don't know.
Instead of just, look, here's Mila Jovovich's beauty.
I'm already jaded on that subject right now.
I would give it a shot, at least. J.J. Abrams is still an Easter egg dropping dick.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
Well, we all know that every movie he's worked on, he drops not so subtle clues. It's like he's trying to come out with spoilers ahead of the internet. It's going to happen anyway, so I might as well do it. You know what I mean? Well, he put out a new one, a pretty good spoiler in episode 7 that may actually propagate stuff we've heard before in rumor format.
Oh boy!
There was a note that was put out recently. It was written on J.J. Abrams' stationery again, like the one that was on the chessboard on the Millennium Falcon. It says, huge thanks to everyone who contributed to Star Wars, Force for Change. Over $5 million were raised to help UNICEF Innovation Labs. We are so grateful. P.C. Barnes, see you on set. Signed, J.J. The note itself is not the spoiler. Again, what's going on around the note could be a hell of a spoiler. Have you guys seen this image?
I don't think so.
Well, now you can take a look. You'll see what I mean when you see what's holding up the note. Okay, I know you got it. Steve, V, do you understand what the potential spoiler is here?
Terminator? I don't know. Oh, the hand.
Okay,
yes.
Well, yeah, when Luke Skywalker lost his hand, he had a cybernetic hand attached, one with pistons in the wrist, very similar to that image you're seeing right now. And if you remember last week, we were making fun of that he might have Return to Luke Skywalker stamped on his right hand somewhere. So the rumor may be true. The storyline about Episode 7 may be about 2 new characters trying to return Luke Skywalker's hand and lightsaber to him. That would be the weirdest quest I've ever heard. I would rather see them drop it in the fires of Mount Doom, frankly.
I would be curious as to how they approach that.
I am losing curiosity, and that's a sad thing. Now, I know V and I are Walking Dead fans. V, did you see how Season 4 ended with all of them in that train car?
No, I'm still stuck in the middle of Season 2, actually.
What?
I think...
You are an awful nerd, young lady. Have you seen the ends of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. yet? No, I'm stuck in the middle of the season. You seen the ends of The Walking Dead yet? No, I'm kind of stuck in the middle of the season. At this point, I could ask you if you're done with your latest period. Nope, stuck in the middle.
I don't know. I don't binge watch things like I used to.
I don't binge watch. I saw it as it came out weekly.
Well, I don't have cable,
God.
so.
It makes it harder to talk about this particular story because at the end of it, Andrew Lincoln playing Rick Grimes, he had to tell a TV-appropriate version of an infamous ending to one of the comic books. He said they don't know what kind of people they're messing with when he talks about their captors. He actually did do the uncensored and comic, was it like 100% comic version of that, where he said they're fucking with the wrong people, which they suddenly decided to cut from it. I don't know if it was because of TV censorship or what, but it sounds much more intimidating when he says they don't know the kind of people they're fucking with.
I'm trying to think of something clever to say, but all I can think of is fuck censorship.
Yeah, I know. I could give you the video, but it would be meaningless to Steve and Jesse, and you haven't seen it yet, so it's like, move the fuck on. One of the weirder pieces of news that came out about The Walking Dead is that its character that's turned into a sensation, Daryl Dixon, played by Norman Reedus, might be gay.
The character?
The character, yeah.
Huh.
The reason why he says that is because in a recent interview, someone asked Robert Kirkman, the creator of the series, why there doesn't seem to be any gay characters in there. And his response is, quote, "All I can say is that it's been discussed. We have very specific ideas about Daryl's sexuality, or seeming lack thereof. And if there's ever a quiet period in the show where he's not consistently distracted by crossbowing, we'll tackle it in the show," unquote.
Interesting.
All right.
That would explain a couple things that's happened through the series. Why he never seems interested in half the females that flirt with him throughout the show. It was kind of amazing when the character of Beth, this 18-year-old girl, starts flirting with him. It was amazing how fans changed. You know, every time she's under threat, it was always, "Oh, I don't want to see anything happen to her. Don't do that. Don't kill her off. That'd be mean." As soon as the character starts flirting with Daryl Dixon, "You fucking bitch, get away from my friend."
Yeah, I could see that.
Game of Thrones had a little bit of news this week, and it was unfortunately sad. They casted the role of Sir Dennis Mallister in Game of Thrones by an 86-year-old Irish actor, J.J. Murphy. 4 days after he began filming, he passed away.
Yeah, I saw that. That was really sad.
He actually collapsed on set.
And it's even more sad because apparently he was telling everyone how he was really looking forward to doing the scenes, which I think they said that they're not going to reshoot those scenes.
They're not going to replace him.
It's not that they're not going to reshoot it. They're not recasting the role. I do not know how deep the role of Sir Dennis Mallister goes in the later books, but they've said very adamantly they will not be recasting this role.
I don't think it's a very...
They felt that they had...
Yeah, I don't remember it being a very big role. I barely even remembered the character, so...
It's just kind of sad. I mean, as much as Game of Thrones is a TV phenomenon in the U.S., I think it's bigger in the UK because they spend half their time filming it out in the Scottish and Irish Isles.
Belfast.
Yeah. So it is a huge deal out there. It employs a lot of people. And to learn that this guy got something the equivalent of, I don't want to say a dream job, but just a role he really wanted at the time and then passes away mid-filming, that's sad.
It makes my heart hurt. But at least he got some filming done.
Yes, he is in the filmography of the show. That cannot be taken away from him. Well, no, technically a mad editor could take it away from him. But he is at least attached to the show. George R.R. Martin actually had to explain to fans why there is no real gay... While there's gay sex in the series, there's no actual gay sex in his books. And he explained to The Guardian, quote, "Because none of the viewpoint characters are gay. There's no explicit gay scenes in the early books. A television show doesn't have these limitations. Will that change? It might. I've had letters from fans who want me to present particularly an explicit male sex scene. Most of the letters come from women. I'm not going to do it for this. I'm not going to do it for the sake of doing it. If the plot lends itself to that, if one of my viewpoint characters is in a situation, then I'm not going to shy away from it. But you can't just insert things because everyone wants to see them. It's not a democracy. If it was a democracy, then Joffrey would have died much earlier than he did.
Yeah, you would have.
So, at least he came forward with a simple explanation.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Jesse, you're a Transformers
yeah.
fan, I know. The complete series of Beast Machines is being released on DVD.
Okay, where, when, how much?
Wow! Season 1, all 26 episodes is being released.
Oh,
Beast
fuck
Machines.
Beast Machines.
Oh, fuck you then. No, the first season, 26 episodes, is being released on DVD as of September 2nd via Shout Factory. Shout Factory has a lot of interesting older licenses to it, although I'm kind of surprised they haven't re-released G.I. Joe by now.
I think they're...
As much as I would be excited to buy that, as soon as I plugged it in, I would start complaining and making fun of it incessantly.
I think it's a matter of getting it enhanced for modern technology, I guess.
Supposedly. Actually, G.I. Joe would be a fun thing to watch between the four of us. Just sit down, Twitch stream it, and start pitching. That would be hilarious as hell. Also in Transformers New, Optimus Prime is getting a new figure via Hot Toys, one of the partners from Sideshow. He's getting a brand new figure. It's non-transformable.
Oh, is that the one with the Starscream wings?
Yes,
yeah,
it is. It's the one that has attachable parts, so it looks like he stole Starscream's blasters and wings. There's something both interesting but kind of creepy about that. Like, how do I get extra powers? I'll just rip you apart and plug it in.
I did what Megatron should have done.
It is an interesting figure, though.
Yeah.
And if you order the special edition, you get an extra bonus. You get Starscream's decapitated head with wires hanging out.
Nice.
So he literally ripped him apart and just took his wings. We've talked on and off that Powers is going to be I think a digital series.
What is this again?
I'm trying to remember. Powers is a series, I think, by Brian Bendis and Mike Oming. It's a series about people who are investigating crimes that involve superpower beings.
All right.
The central character is a former superpower being. His partner has never been one. And their job is just to police and take care of people, who could leap tall buildings in single bounds and stuff.
Right.
Well, Eddie Izzard has been added to the cast of the show.
Eddie Izzard?
Yeah, he's going to play a character called Wolf, which has been described as the boogeyman of the Powers universe. It's being produced by Sony TV. I am interested. I will admit that freely. This sounds pretty cool to me. David Slade is actually directing the first 2 episodes.
That name sounds familiar to me.
I don't remember where I've heard it from. Speaking of J.J. Abrams, there's a leak that may have come out via Indie Revolver that he didn't intend. There's pictures that came out that may be the new helmets of snowtroopers and stormtroopers for
That's
episode
all
7.
over the place. I think it's been confirmed.
Not yet. I've found a bunch of people running the story, but I have yet to find anybody that says definitively this is it, and J.J. Abrams hasn't said anything about it yet. Yeah. I've seen a couple different pictures of the Stormtrooper helmet. I'm having troubles trying to figure out if the two are correlated, because one looks like all the black pieces are just one contiguous visor, and another one looks like the black piece has lenses in it, similar to the 1970s versions. So I'm a little curious about it. I would kind of hope they add more viewable space to it, because otherwise it still goes along with their theme of blind allegiance. That was a Tag and Bank reference. Not only that, the main villains of Star Wars Episode 7 may have also been revealed.
Ooh, yeah, I've seen it, haven't actually read into that one yet.
Well, according to Latino Review, who's usually very good with their spoilers and rumors, the Inquisitors are the villains of Star Wars Episode 7. It also happens to be the name of the main villain in Star Wars Rebels, so if you take a good look at that character, you may get an idea of what the Inquisitors in the movie are going to look like already. Inquisitors, think of them as specialized Jedi hunters of the Sith Order. You know, they've been around for a very long time. They haven't really defined how long they've been around, but it's one of the few things that came out of fan story canon that's been added into the main story that we know of so far. Indie Revolver also says that the Inquisitor that's supposed to be in Star Wars Episode 7 is described as tall, thin, and terrifyingly creepy with glowing red eyes to match his red lightsaber. He may have some robotic upgrades like Vader, but no mask. The cybernetic bits weave in and out of him. He's got a human upper lip and a steel jaw, which technically makes him Trapjaw from the Masters of the Universe.
Or Lockjaw from He-Man.
See, there's all kinds of jokes here. Wait, I think we just talked about the same character. Nah, never mind. How many people here have seen Shaun of the Dead?
Me?
Not in its entirety.
I've seen it several times.
Okay, V, there's a very interesting story that came out on IO9. Do you remember the scene early on, before Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, as characters, have realized that what's going on is a zombie apocalypse?
Uh-huh.
They find a young girl in their backyard.
Yeah.
Okay, they start wrestling with her, and at one point, for some ungodly reason, Nick Frost, playing Ed, just shows up with a camera while Simon Pegg is struggling with this thing and takes a picture.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know that camera was actually loaded?
Loaded? Like, as in it had film in it?
There was actual film in the camera.
Huh.
Someone developed it. First off, here's the scene from the movie. I don't know how familiar it'd be to Steve and Jesse. Okay, you remember that particular scene, right?
It's still loading.
He's on the ground. Okay, he's on the ground on his back. He's got this young lady in a blue dress on top of him. She's definitely zombified, but they haven't figured this out yet. I think to them, they think she's flirting at the time. So that's the image that was in the movie. It turned into kind of an iconic image among horror fans. During that section, Frost took a picture. Now, if you take a look at the second image I sent you, that's what actually came out of the camera.
Nice.
I mean, it's not one of those stories that's terribly informative, but it's interesting to know that thing actually functioned. And I like the expression Peg has in the image from the camera. That what the fuck are you doing?
The chick too is just like, what?
I know. Was that a flash?
Was that improvised?
We've also maybe I don't know. Maybe he just had a bunch of gear sitting around the house and he just saw it and decided to play a joke or something. It ended up staying on film.
Maybe.
There's also concept art that's been put on Indie Revolver of what Han Solo may look like in Episode 7. I think you guys have seen that already?
I don't think I have.
It does look like Han Solo is trying to look more distinguished in these movies, or at least they're trying to make him look more distinguished.
I have to grow up sometime.
At least it should... I wonder if he still shoots first.
I would imagine.
Not with Leia.
We don't know that. It's been a while, and Grandpa needs his rest. There's also a rumor that came out that Disney, now that they own the rights to Star Wars, is going to put out the unedited, the unspecialized versions of Star Wars on Blu-ray. The one with the original cheesy effects, rather than all the added monsters and all the CG graphics. That is something I've been looking forward to a long time. I've wanted the original versions on Blu-ray if I buy them.
Yep.
Turns out IO9 has burst my fucking bubble.
What?
Well, IO9 read the same rumors everyone else did. You know, now that Disney owns it, the original versions seem to be coming out on Blu-ray soon. IO9 pointed out several interesting things that a lot of stories did not cover, and it's kind of interesting that a nerd hobby website seems to have more hard information than most of the news websites out there.
Not surprised?
It said, first of all, Fox owns distribution rights to the original Star Wars number 4 in the series in perpetuity in all media worldwide. And as for the 5 subsequent movies, Fox has theatrical, non-theatrical, and home video rights worldwide through May 2020. So that means Fox will own most of these movies till 2020, but Fox will own Star Wars Episodes 4 forever. They got some really good fucking contracts, wouldn't you say? Now, over at Badass Digest, Devin Faracy spelled out the rights to Empire and Jedi and the prequels will revert to Lucasfilm and thus Disney in 2020. But Fox will retain the Star Wars rights forever, in perpetuity, and they'll never give it up. Will they work with Disney to do some sort of release? Sure, there's a lot of money to be made, but unless a deal has been quietly made to give Disney the distribution rights to the original trilogy, there's no chance the Mouse House is working on a release. Now, if the report said that Fox was working on a new Blue, I might believe it. But if the sources don't even know who owns the movies, how can they know anything about remastering or release plans for them, unquote. I hate it when they make sense. And there's another hurdle to these movies being released, and that's George Lucas, unfortunately.
Of course.
He said, quote, the special edition, that's the one I wanted out there. The other movie, it's on VHS if anyone wants it. I'm not going to spend, we're talking millions of dollars here, money and the time to refurbish that, because to me, it doesn't really exist anymore. It's like this movie I wanted it to be, and I'm sorry you saw half a completed film and fell in love with it, unquote. That's the kind of thing that makes me want to ball punch somebody.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you're closest to George Lucas than any of us.
Actually, Skywalker Ranch is up there in Napa Valley. Steve, you're up.
What?
You're closest to George Lucas. Go ball punch him.
No. Although I do know people that know him.
Yep.
Okay, send an emissary, dude. I'm down with that. Who's seen the new trailer for the season of Doctor Who starting next weekend?
No.
It's a 30-second spot that actually includes dinosaurs.
I'm pretty sure Jared... Yeah. Oh, Jared... I can't get their name straight anymore now.
I've seen it, but I always saw it while I was at work.
Athletes you live with have seen it. Okay. Well, for those that haven't seen it, here it is. I'm a moderate fan of the series. I like the modern take. I can't go back and watch the originals. That's too weird
I'm
for
a
me.
big fan of both.
It's weird to watch Capaldi rising from his bed like The Undertaker rises from a 3 count.
I can tolerate it. I don't hate it.
It does bring back a few characters that I've seen prior in the series.
Yeah.
Including the lesbian lizard.
I liked her.
Well, she's been rather prominent throughout the latter part. Especially when he was going through his whole loss of companions before he picked up the latest one. And
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, not only that, a fan created this. I'm sending you the YouTube link now. He created a new Doctor Who opening that is unlike a lot of other previous ones. It involves time more heavily as a concept instead of just the vortex as he travels through. I sat down and watched it, and it's very interesting. Because after watching seasons 8, 9, and I think... Or is it... Actually, I'm not sure which seasons it is. You know, starting with Christopher Eccleston's run, a lot of the openings tend to be very similar in format. This one takes a pretty big deviation. Billy Shaw of the UK put it together.
I like this. I mean,
It's actually rather impressive.
I like the original, I like the actual Doctor Who one, too. The Vortex thing is cool, but...
Well,
Yeah, it's nice. It's a different take. What were you going to say, Steve?
no, I was watching and I was like, huh, that's pretty impressive.
yeah, no, I enjoy it. I felt, gave me idea. Time is involved with the series. I'm like,
Okay, well, I didn't just show you guys that because I thought it was cool. The reason why I added that is because Stephen Moffat saw that, and he thought it was so interesting, he told the artist he's going to use that concept.
Hell
in the
yeah.
opening.
really? Royalties?
Yeah. The guy who put it together said he didn't really care about royalties or being acknowledged. He'd like to just see it up on the goddamn screen.
Okay. He's got bragging rights then.
But, apparently Moffat got his permission to lift the concept, give it, do it from, or use all their technology at BBC to put together a new version of that and put it on the series.
Nice.
Nice.
Huh.
No.
But not all the news about Doctor Who has been terribly positive. There's one piece that just came out in the last couple of days that really hit fans sideways. And that is that Jenna Coleman, the person who's playing the current companion, Clara, I think Oswald is the character's name?
Clara Oswald, yeah.
Yep, they have set a time frame for her departure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's been around for a long
Sooner
time.
or late.
As of Christmas this year.
Wow.
She is said to be resigning from the role. However, it's been an amicable resolution. Apparently, she decided to resign, and they wrote her a way out. It's been an 18-month run, and as far as companions go in the modern sense, that's a pretty long run. I could see that because I watched snippets of the prior season of Doctor Who where a lot of people describe her as dealing with a feral cat. You know, she's managed to tame this one, and Matt Smith's Doctor would roll over and like let her scratch his belly and stuff. This new one is more prickly and is much more off-putting to her.
Yeah, that's honestly... it kind of surprises me when the companions last a long time between switches between Doctors, because that...
Well, from what I know of the story, the reason why Clara became important to Matt Smith's Doctor was because she was this puzzle that came in, and it turns out she was extremely important later on. When it comes to this new Doctor, he doesn't know her from Eve, so he really doesn't give much of a shit about her.
Yeah.
So, that's the story. Not only that...
Also, apparently Matt Smith's character had a crush on her, but I can't substantiate that.
I'm not gonna get into that at all. There was another interesting story that came out that was Doctor Who related. There was somebody who was wandering around in Beacon, New York, looking for a place to eat. And as they were wandering around between buildings, they came across a rather interesting portal. I sent you an image. This is the door they came across. And when you open the door, when you open the door, as per what you would expect, it was actually much bigger on the inside. This is a Doctor Who themed cafe called Pandorica.
It's a good name.
It was named after a device during the Matt Smith seasons of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I remember.
Well, I sent you guys another link so you can take a look. It actually is an interesting place. It has the Vincent van Gogh painting in large print on the wall. All the tablecloths are like TARDIS blue. It's kind of relaxing in there, really. And even the menu is themed. Appetizers are called Sweeties. The entrees are called Spoilers. And salads are called Salads.
Oh. That's a letdown.
Last bit of general media news I have is that Outlander, the new show that's been premiering on Starz, the period piece taking place in 17th century Scotland. It's only aired an episode by the time the story came out. The season 2 has been optioned.
Optioned?
Yeah, in other words, they had an option for a season 2 in the contract, and after the first episode came out, it did well enough that they picked up that option. Season 2 is going to be produced. They asked Ron D. Moore about the series as he's producing it. Quote, I'm thrilled at the prospect of doing another season of the show for Starz. The project has been a labor of love from the very beginning, and it's incredibly gratifying to see it succeed with viewers and critics alike, unquote. If I remember correctly, Ron D. Moore, wasn't he one of the showrunners on Battlestar Galactica?
Don't know.
Second. I think he's affiliated with Star Trek, yeah. Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica. He was originally in Voyager, I think. Not in, but producer.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Next Generation,
right,
Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, yep. And he did Battlestar Galactica, Carnival, Roswell.
Okay, so doing this show must be kind of difficult because nobody has a blaster or an alien or a blaster anywhere in this stuff.
Oh, Caprica, Helix. So yeah, this dude is responsible for a bunch of TV shows.
Yeah. We'll move to Marvel comic news. There actually is some Marvel comic news for once, now that Comic-Con is well over. There's going to be a new Weapon X series after the death of Wolverine.
Interesting.
Well, for the first time, Weapon X, you know, those series usually revolve around characters that have been put out by the Weapon X program. But for the first time, they're going to have a series that doesn't have characters named Sabretooth or Deadpool or Maverick or Wolverine anywhere in them. This is going to be about 5 test subjects of a new Weapon X program that have gotten out. According to the writer, he calls them basically a screwed-up team book. This is not the Avengers. This is not the Doom Patrol. This is not the X-Men. These are people that are barely functioning, if at all.
Well, after going through the project...
Well, he only explained one of the characters to give an example, and he called the character Junk. That's literally the name of it. They used unused legacy portions of his DNA, evolutionary dead ends, and activated all of them. So he manifests all sorts of strange animal traits. He has horns. He can survive in environments that would be toxic to humans. He's a bit off, but he figures he has superpowers, so he doesn't give a shit. So they're all failed experiments, more or less. They got out on their own. As far as new concepts go, I'll give that a shot.
Basically, the Stratus guys have almost a god complex.
Not a god complex. He has superpowers. He got what he wanted from the deal, so he's happy.
Okay.
Also, there was some more news that came out about Marvel's new event that's coming after Original Sin, the Axis, where the Red Skull has turned Genosha into a concentration camp for mutants. He's apparently aligned different villains. There was an interesting reveal when it came to one of the covers of Axis. I believe it's the second issue of the mini, and it shows 5 X-Men, prominent X-Men too, Havoc, Storm, Colossus, Cyclops, and Nightcrawler. Behind them is a very familiar head. After all this time, Rick Remender is bringing back the original Apocalypse.
Ooh. Yeah, they were looking for a way to do it.
In what context?
I don't know, but it is, he said very specifically, he said that during the Axis panel, they've been looking for a way to bring back the original Apocalypse. They wanted Apocalypse, or Rick Remender anyway, wanted Apocalypse back in it. And he's found his doorway, apparently. So that could make all this downright dangerous, frankly. They also, Marvel's also producing this marketing device they call a looper. It's this weird folding storyboard that folds in on itself to show different pictures. And it shows the 5 characters that have been seen in images right now. Luke Cage, Deadpool, Iron Man, Sabretooth, and Hobgoblin. And how they look normally in the universe, and then when you flip it over, you see how they're going to be as a result of Axis. They're calling the whole thing the inversion. And the inversion has some freaky things happening. For example, the Hulk is inverted. So he turns into this thing called the Kluh, K-L-U-H, Hulk backwards. Maybe they mean clue, I don't know. But it's going to be one of the most savage versions of the Hulk ever known. Deadpool, Hobgoblin, and Carnage are going to learn what it means to be heroes for a little while during this series.
Okay.
This inversion is also going to be what drives Tony Stark from being Iron Man to the superior Iron Man when he turns dickish. Well, not dickish.
Take turn to 11?
Yeah. I have greater curiosity about this now that they've explained some of what's going to happen in Axis. I admit, I got curious when I heard Remender say at Comic-Con that the X-Men are going to make a stand like no one's ever seen before. When you consider the powers and the people that are involved in X-Men, that sounds damn near world-ending, doesn't it?
Very ominous.
Yeah. But they've also said that the march to Axis begins in a place I didn't expect it to be. Well, didn't expect it to begin, but we discussed how this is a possibility. The march to Axis starts in Magneto number 9.
And what? Oh,
Magneto number 9. Magneto series. Apparently, one of the first people to get wind of it is Magneto in his solo adventures, where he's killing people as often as he's saving them.
Yeah, I imagine he's gonna have
the survivor of a German concentration camp finds out about Axis.
Yeah. The super Jewish survivor of a Nazi concentration camp turns out that the super Nazi, with part of the brain of his best friend, has turned his former island nation into a Nazi concentration camp.
Someone's going to be pissed.
Yeah, that's good. I imagine they're not going to share lattes.
Well, as long as he's got the helmet, Red Skull ain't going to see it coming.
Yeah. I have something here that fit into Marvel Media News, but I guess I miscategorized it. We have heard rumors that in Age of Ultron, Captain Marvel is going to show up. We've also seen rumors that Katie Sackhoff, who played Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica, may have been picked to fill that role.
Ooh.
Well, Katie Sackhoff has said she is not playing that role. She has had meetings with Marvel, but they have not been specific about any particular roles for her, and she is not suited up for anything for them thus far. So if there is a Carol Danvers, it's not her. Last bit of Marvel comic news I have was kind of an interesting panel, because Original Sin is starting to wind down. The penultimate issue came out this week, so that means in 2 to 4 weeks, the last issue will come out soon. And the storyline of Original Sin, of course, is that a lot of people are either confessing or finding out about things done in their past that could greatly affect their character. In the miniseries Original Sins, plural, there's a bunch of characters that for some reason are being asked about deep secrets that S.H.I.E.L.D. has found out about. And I have to read this because some of the admissions here are freaking insane. They're interviewing Gambit, and they ask him about the secret he's been hiding, and he says, I am not actually French. It's why I always just pepper easy French words like we and share with English. I just want to sound cool. The She-Hulk says, I've never passed the bar.
Wait, who?
Daredevil.
Oh, Daredevil.
She said she never passed the bar. She never passed the bar exam. Rick Jones, the guy who was playing guitar out by that Gamma Bomb site, he says, I knew it was a Gamma Bomb testing site. Playing my guitar while in terrible danger is my secret fetish. Please don't tell anyone. I like Luke Cage's. I hate sweets. I hate Christmas. The Punisher. I chose for us to go to the park that day, and truth be told, I still really like going to parks. Very relaxing. According to Storm, I dated a weatherman once, and when we broke up, I ruined his career.
Nice.
Magneto had a confession. I don't actually control metal. I talk to it and convince it to do things, like how that Aqua guy talks to fish. Metal is my only friend.
Oh, that's cute.
Frogman had a confession. When I was a kid, I killed a man just to see what it feels like. I'm just kidding. I'm Frogman. The Black Panther said, a dark secret implies actions I may have regretted. I'm above that. And that's when Nick Fury says, we found those Avril Lavigne CDs in your car.
Nice.
The Kingpin says, I actually really like Matt Murdock. Nice guy. Good lawyer. I feel bad about stuff. And the last one in this promo page, of all characters, is Beast. I've been writing a TV pitch called Stars and Garters about cool 70s cops named Hank Stars and Henry Garters. I keep saying it as catchphrase, hoping someone will ask me about it.
Wow.
I really have to read this issue. I hope there's at least 3 more pages of this shit. We have DC comic news. There's a new expansion series coming out. DC's putting out a new series called Gotham by Midnight, based on the Elseworld that came out a while ago. It's about DC. It's about horror and supernatural goings on in DC Comics' already darkest city. Seems like they're coming out with a lot of different series about the stuff that goes on in Gotham that isn't quite Batman. Because this isn't the only announcement. Remember, we talked about Gotham Academy. And we're getting a little bit more information about that series. The whole thing centers around a particular character. I'm sorry, I got a little lost here. The main character's name is Olive Silverlock. She's a second-year student at Gotham Academy. Something happens to some of her best friends, and Olive seems to withdraw a bit. And then her friends start asking her what's going on, and it compounds from there. I don't know. Gotham Academy is one of the first books I've heard about in a while based on Gotham that I would like to read. It sounds like a very different leg of things out there. Of course, that's me. I like the unusual.
Until Neander's in the same bullshit.
If Batman shows up to save him, I'm out. Speaking of which, Greg Capullo, who's the current artist on the Batman series, he released a rather bizarre image that apparently is a teaser about Batman. I sent you guys a link so you can take a look. It shows Batman standing on top of a pile of rubble in a ruined costume. It looked like he cobbled it together like some kind of future imperfect, holding a rifle of all things. I see the character of Bluebird down beneath him with her rifle and a gun. I see a third character that I don't know what that is.
I don't know. It's riding some kind of unicycle.
Yeah, he's riding a gyro motorcycle of some sort, and I see the name Lark on the motorcycle. I don't know if that's the name of the character or the name of the bike. Some people have asked if this could be the new Nightwing since Dick Grayson is off the reservation.
That's a possibility, but
I would really hope not. There's already been like 4 characters named Nightwing, and if you're going to have a new character for fuck's sake. Don't trade out name recognition.
The guy is very striking resemblance to Impulse or Kid Flash.
Maybe. I kind of think they're going to stay away from that because there's a lot of characters in the New 52 that are not well established yet, and crossing them over like that might be kind of jarring. But I have a third question that apparently you guys aren't asking. What happened to Batman's left hand?
Huh.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking that was some kind of weird glove at an interesting perspective, but yeah.
I mean, I understand he is Batman and everything, but usually you hold a rifle with 2 hands. When I took a good look at that picture, I wondered, why does he have one hand off that thing? Apparently because he has one hand off.
Well, given the action poses some artists like to draw, it isn't really surprising that he's one-handing a rifle, but...
Yeah, but this is Greg Capullo, not Rob Liefeld.
I don't know. The chick down there's got a pistol in one hand and is drawing a rifle out with the other. What's she going to do with that?
I don't know. I haven't seen her shoot it yet. For all I know, she could drop a pistol.
It actually looks more like a sword. Some melee weapon.
Well, we've seen character Bluebird before. She carries some kind of electro rifle.
Could be a stun baton.
Yeah. Not only that, there was a lost episode of Batman 66. There was a story written for an episode that involved Two-Face.
Oh, yeah.
Which obviously was never made because Two-Face never appeared in the Batman 66 show. But that won't stop DC because they've made a comic book based on the lost episode. They're coming out with a miniseries of, they call it Batman 66, the lost episode. So they're going to tell the story of the two-way crimes of Two-Face.
If
I sat down and read that, I would have to loop like, what's his name, Ralph Garman doing Adam West impersonations over and over again. There was another interesting story that came out about Batman because we've heard there's going to be a new Robin. Whether or not that involves a new character or the return of another character, we don't quite know yet. But he's not the only one in the search. We've seen that in one series he's had a bunch of guest stars helping him in different degrees. In an upcoming issue of Batman, let me see if I can... It doesn't... In Batman and Robin 36, he's not going to get the help of one character. I sent you the link. He's going to get the help of a bunch of characters.
Yep, Red Robin, Red Hood, and Batgirl, which still depending on which Batgirl that is.
Well, I'm sure that's still Barbara. Because if you remember, there is no other Batgirl in this universe. There's only been one. It's the New 52. So, also, if you check on her opposite leg there, the one that's stretched out, it has the new utility pouch on it. So this appears to be Barbara starting her graduate school in her new costume. So what the speculation is right now is that these three also are going to help Batman try and develop a new Robin. I mean, obviously Dick Grayson wouldn't be involved if the rest of them were aware that he's still alive. But he's off doing his spy thing, and only Bruce Wayne knows he's out there.
All three of them being involved in the process of making a new Robin
I'm pretty sure two of them would say, don't bother, walk away.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Jason Todd could give you a lot of pretty helpful advice about what not to do.
Yeah, if he'd be willing to give it. I mean, I suppose I could see the story being the two of them, getting some knockdown, drag-out fight as he just sits there and bitches at Batman about all the shit that he did wrong, and then walks away at the end of it and says, so don't do that.
I was about to say, I guess the advice one of them could give is just don't sleep with a man. Then it occurred to me, I guess any one of them could give that advice.
Oh.
Last bit of DC comic news I have is that the most expensive comic book ever has hit eBay. Okay? It's been no secret that when you check the price guides, the most expensive comic book ever invariably turns out to be Action Comics number 1, right? I mean, it usually retails for somewhere in the, I want to say 6 figures. And there have been previous auctions that come out. There is an auction on eBay right now for Action Comics number 1, produced in June 1938. The current bidding is up to $1,750,200. And I looked at that. I had never heard of a comic book going that high. So I tracked down the eBay auction. There's a reason why this comic book is that high. And I've sent you guys a link so you can take a look. But in short terms, I will say CGC rated 9.0.
What does that mean?
What that means is that the comic is in damn near perfect condition, and I don't think that's a rating that's ever been heard of before in modern times for Action Comics number 1.
Nice.
Basically, it was made, put into a sleeve, and never touched.
It's in damn near pristine condition. I sent it to you guys so you could check it out. 9.0 also means something else that's never happened in a sale of Action Comics number 1 before. Fucking thing has white pages.
Damn.
Nice.
White pages. In a book that's almost 80 years old, it has white pages.
Somebody actually stored it the way it was supposed to be stored.
Yeah. Could you imagine how much CGC must have flipped their shit when somebody sent this thing to them? Because even if I was a professional at that point, I would lose my mind. I would call everyone over my desk. Look at this! You know, just don't breathe on it. Don't breathe on it. Here's a mask. Here's gloves. Look at this! You know. Apparently, the guy running the auction has had a couple of straight-up offers to buy it from him directly and close the auction for $3 million, and he's refused. Not only that, this is one of the only eBay auctions I've ever heard of where you have to be a pre-authorized bidder. You have to email the seller to be put on a list of people authorized to bid on this thing. And this auction still has another 7 days to go, and it started at 99 cents and ballooned up after 21 bids to $1.75 million.
Fuck.
So I am in freaking awe. I am just in awe. And I'm going to follow this rather intently over the next couple of weeks to see where it closes. I will say this, though. Whoever owns this thing will own a comic like no other on the goddamn planet.
Oh,
They could charge admission.
There is one other copy to receive the 9.0.
There is another one out there. Okay, so there is one other that no one's put on sale yet.
But they also go on to say that it is fair to say, though, that this copy blows the other 9.0 out of the water.
How is that possible? They're both 9s.
Probably because they don't have a rating scale higher than 9.
Oh, no, you can rate up to 10.
All right. Well, what it says is, compared to the other 9 that sold for $2.1 million several years ago, it has significant superior eye appeal, extremely vibrant colors, and perfect white pages.
I don't know. I'd have to see the other one. We will move into general comic news. There's not much of it. Boom Comics is putting out a new series called Cloaks, which I think would be up V's alley. It's about a street illusionist who is grabbed by a spy company to perform jobs for them. So there's no superpowers or anything like that. They grab a street illusionist because he's good at sleight of hands and cons. They want somebody who's able to get out there and improvise.
Okay.
I have heard worse concepts for spy stories, all the way up to, look, this housewife could be a perfect spy. At least they grab someone with a little bit more of a brain. And this is also one of those things I will give a try because I've heard worse. But one thing that kind of threw me sideways in this week's news is that the Phantom, the ghost who walks, has ended up on a lot of war shields in New Guinea. War shields in New Guinea are made out of single pieces of tree trunks, generally sanded, and then they put imagery on them to try and scare other people. Well, back in the 1930s, there was a cultural shift, and a lot of, actually, I guess the 1940s, a lot of comic books started to come over, and then in New Guinea, they started reading stories about the Phantom, who was a near immortal, called the Ghost Who Walks, the man who won't die. So when you have an immortal like that, you start painting it on shields.
Okay.
It's an interesting way for a comic book character to live on. He's still very popular in New Guinea, apparently. I would not expect that. It's one of those characters I've always found kind of frustrating. But I mean, there's one shield that doesn't even have an image of the Phantom. It just has his skull, and on it says, Phantom, beware of man who never died. Life danger. I can't make this shit up. The last general comic news I have is kind of DC Marvel related. Rupert Murdoch, the owner of Fox and Fox News and all those affiliates, he put in a large-scale bid for Warner Entertainment.
Whoa.
Okay? $80 billion is what he bid to own Warner, which meant he would have owned DC part and parcel. Okay? I don't know if that means Superman would suddenly have issues about trickle-down economics and shit or what. But the bid was rejected. So, that got some people speculating. What if Disney, in their buying spree they've had recently, put in a bid for Warner Entertainment?
That would be, I would almost say, a conflict of interest, if there exists such a thing in the business world.
Possibly, but unfortunately you also could not call it a monopoly because of the number of independent companies and other options out there. Because what happens is, in comic books, they say it's almost impossible to have a monopoly or conflict of interest because all you need to do to, in that case, is simply stop reading the comics. It's not like, cable, where you don't have many other options or other services like that. But some people were asking if that did happen, and they bought the two, would you integrate the universes? And my initial reaction was, fuck you, but no.
Hell no.
You've got two very different paths of heroes there, and to combine them both would almost be the death of Marvel comic characters just because of the overpowered nature of DC characters. That really just doesn't... That doesn't even seem close.
I don't see it being an interesting story.
Not really.
I mean, they have the what-ifs, and they have the crossovers, but there's a reason why they don't do them very often.
Yeah. I would just say, if there is any circumstance where DC and Marvel are owned by the same people, keep them separate universes. Don't even tease that you knock on a dimensional wall and this guy with an S-shield is standing on the other side. Just pretend they don't exist.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay. We have Anime in Japan news. Somebody built a functional scouter. And when I say functional, I don't mean it senses whether or not you're over 9,000. I've had enough of that goddamn joke. Seriously, you people need to stop with that. No, what I mean is that there was a guy named Keir Simon. I don't know what country he's from, but he took one of those like $20 toy Dragon Ball scouters like we saw at Comic-Con, and he added a small LED screen to the interior of it. So now when you're looking through it, not only can you look past the LED screen to see other people, but it looks like it's developing the same graphics that were in the original Dragon Balls or portrayed in the Dragon Ball series. So you can actually see it there pretending it's focusing in on something and taking power readings. If he can mass produce those screens and he has a little time on his hands, he could probably charge over 100, and a lot of people would snap these up. He just might run into issues when somebody found out he's buying, warehouses full of scouters. It's pretty nifty, though, to see the innovation from one guy. In news that just kind of made me sit up and pay attention, Cowboy Bebop is getting a Blu-ray release.
Nice.
I've been waiting for that series to hit another level of resolution. That's one of my favorite series in all time in anime.
Hated the ending so much.
I know. It was a very sad ending. But the Blu-ray release is the entire series, and if you go to Amazon, the retail on the package is $100 or $99.99. Pre-order from Amazon, you can get it for $69.99.
Nice.
Series doesn't come out till mid-December too. So I'm in strong consideration to put in a pre-order, frankly. I think that's well worth $70 for 24 episodes.
Yeah.
It's a shit ton better than what they're offering for Sword Art Online.
Oh, boy.
There's also a new convention I had never heard of, and if I had known about it, I would have been in. I would have gone to this. It's called KantaiCon. It's going on September 6th in Charleston, South Carolina.
What?
KantaiCon.
Okay, I heard something else.
You hear what you want to hear. No, KantaiCon goes on a Sunday, I believe. I'm not very good with days outside of the month. It goes on a Saturday. But the thing that makes it special compared to other anime conventions, it's going on the deck of an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
It's happening right on the deck of the USS Yorktown.
Nice.
I mean, a lot of people said, well, that's kind of cool. That'd be great for military shoots. As soon as I heard that, I'm just like, fuck military shoots. Could you imagine Dead or Alive or Street Fighter shoots? Background is right there. There's also a submarine moored next to it, but the space in it is a little too tight for events. But it is on site for touring and photo shoots. It sounds like this is one of those fan-friendly things. You won't be able to buy a lot, but you'll be able to have a very unique day. I'd be in on that. Also, Japan News seems to have a lot of strange tales of debauchery coming around.
Yeah.
And we got another one here. We unfortunately have another, and it involves another JC, junior schooler. This one, however, is a police officer that's been arrested. There's a 40-year-old Chiba police sergeant, and he's being charged with lascivious acts with a minor. Although the story that makes this a little more unique is how he got in touch with her. He got in touch with her via Line, which is one of the newer messaging apps for smartphones. Line also enables you to be able to loosely track the locations of certain people you're friends with. He managed to make friends with a young girl and started talking with her, and via Line convinced her to meet. The girl joined him in his car while parked on the street where he touched her body. Later that month, the girl sought quote-unquote advice from prefectural police, and the officer's details soon came to light. I don't understand how you actually think you can get away with anything like this being a police officer. Also, it's an island nation. There's not a lot of places you can go.
Yeah.
To me, people that engage in this sort of behavior don't have a lot of
self-control,
concern with reality, and self-control.
Yeah. Just another one of those sad stories. It's becoming too frequent in Japan. They often portray sexual crimes in a lot of media outlets and online as being produced by a lot of the foreigners. They're kind of xenophobic over there. But the more stories we read seem to be just kind of twisted people doing it to their own citizens. Last bit of anime in Japan news I have is a doozy. Japan has licensed in an American web series for an anime.
I saw that.
Ruby is going to Japan.
Really?
The Rooster Teeth series RWBY, centering on 4 high school-age female monster hunters, is being reproduced and licensed in Japan. They're going to dub it in Japanese and put it out on DVD release. It was exported by Warner Home Entertainment, who signed the deal.
I imagine you'll probably do better than the Smurfs.
I don't know. I just hope it looks better than the Bat manga. So I don't think they're changing the animation models at all. They're just exporting it straight up. They're just changing the language. The sad part is, I might like the series better dubbed in Japanese.
That's usually what I experience.
Which is kind of odd, considering this is not an anime. It's a American series.
The style is very reminiscent.
Yeah. We have our nerd interest news, where we talk about things that aren't necessarily comic related, but just kind of tickle us as people who love technology and science. The Eye of Sauron has been seen over a winter wonderland.
Wait, what?
There's this weird effect that happens, a coronal effect, where light is diffused through snow crystals.
Uh-huh.
And it creates these odd halos. I'm sending you the image because somebody took a picture of the effect, and it looks like an angelic Sauron is staring directly fucking at you.
That's kind of neat, actually.
It's a little creepy to me. Because the way the coronas fit together and all the halos, it does look like the contours of an eyeball just kind of blinking and just going, hey, stop playing with yourself.
I see you.
And Jesus is watching you.
That is cool.
It's very creepy. V, you're probably one of the better readers. Have you heard of Maplecroft?
No. Is it a recent series?
It's it's something coming out, if not, I think it's already out. Yeah, it is already out. It's called Maplecroft, The Borden Dispatches. It's a book about the Lizzie Borden murders that was written by H.P. Lovecraft a couple of decades before he dreamed up Cthulhu.
I haven't heard of it.
So it's it looks like it was adapted by another author who turned it into something a little more. What am I looking for? It changed the tempo a little bit so it appeals to modern readers. But it does appear to be a retelling of all the nightmares that Lizzie Borden created during her lifetime.
Interesting.
This might be up your alley.
I'll have to look into it.
Hubble has discovered a zombie star.
Oh.
Zombie star.
I was waiting for you guys to process those words and make sure I hadn't mispronounced
So,
anything.
an undead star.
Maybe. Now, a supernova usually wipes out the white dwarf star that is caught in the middle of it, the center of the explosion. Some stars, as it turns out, may actually survive supernovas, and then they call those stars zombie stars. So, a team of astronomers went through the data from Hubble and found a star appears to have survived of a source after a weak supernova, which is called a Type Lax, not to be confused with, or a Type 1AX, not to be confused with a typical supernova, which is a Type 1A. The star in question is called SN2012Z, and it's about 110 million light years away. So stars can actually live after certain types of novas. That's kind of weird.
I think that's cool.
Kind of like humans surviving heart attacks or strokes, I suppose.
I doubt there's a star going out there going, help me, I can't feed myself. In the same vein, NASA is developing origami-style solar panels.
Cool.
So solar panels?
Panels that can be, sort of. They're solar panels that can unfold into larger shapes when you need additional power.
Okay.
So you're not stuck to the more static versions like the gigantic square ones we have. You can actually change the input of the power levels, and they also fold and unfold similar to roses. So it creates less surface area. Also means you can put up a hell of a lot more photovoltaic cells out there if you can fold them up and then store them until you deploy.
I've seen a lot of
what it is,
folding technology lately.
Yeah. I saw a video that exampled at 1/20th scale. Something that's about the size... I'm trying to decide the right distance to tell you with the width. Something approximately... I don't know. It can unfold into an 8.9 feet shape, and it looks like it starts out as something that's no more than about 8 inches across. If it works, it's a great idea. But I do have sad news, and that is the USS Enterprise is going to be shut down. Now, people don't send me hate mail, because I know CBS is still making Star Trek TV series. Shut up. What I'm talking about is the aircraft carrier, USS Enterprise, after 50 years of service, is going to the shipyard it was created to be decommissioned.
Well, it is an ancient ship by now.
Yeah.
At 50 years, yeah. I'm sure it's been retrofitted a few times, so it has a lot of technology in it. But compared to its latter cousins, it's kind of a dinosaur.
Yeah, turn to a museum.
Yeah. But that also means we have no chance of seeing another movie where Walter Koenig is wandering around San Francisco saying vessels.
Oh, it's my favorite movie. Well, my favorite Star Trek movie.
Kotaku had an interesting graphic that showed the most pirated games in America by
seen
state.
that.
I have not.
I was a little surprised to find out how many states. It seems like almost a third of the states in the Union. The most pirated game recently is Watch Dogs.
That
was especially surprising when that's the most pirated games in states like Utah and. God, what the
Well,
what the fuck is that?
There's plenty of secular people who live in
Utah.
Well, I forgot what state is between Nebraska and Oklahoma. I can hear the help. I think it's Wyoming. No, it's not
Nebraska
Wyoming.
and Oklahoma.
Yeah, there's a
Kansas?
state between them.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Kansas.
Oh, yeah, that is Kansas. Okay. Yeah, so in Kansas, a game like Watch Dogs is big. I mean, also it looked like both of the Carolinas.
It's big in
Illinois,
all across the Midwest,
Michigan.
except some spots.
Except Iowa and Nebraska, basically.
Yeah.
I do find it funny that the most pirated game in Oklahoma is Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 3. That is not what I would have
That's
pictured
really
at all.
specific.
Well, I mean, it's just Oklahoma is not a place where I guess I've never pictured ninjas running through the fields. When you think about all the wide, flat spaces in Oklahoma, that's a perfect place for ninjas to run through the fields.
Goat Simulator all the way.
Hey, and they got the red dirt, so the orange blends in a little better.
What about Missouri? Dark Souls 2. I especially like the one for Florida, Outlast Whistleblower.
Never heard of that.
DLC.
I've never heard of it either, but that's almost ironic considering the political messes that happened in that state.
And I don't understand, Arkansas and Georgia both have specific Sims 3 expansions. I didn't even know you could use pirated expansions with a non...
I don't know. I find it interesting that both of the Dakotas seem to agree on the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah. I can see them liking the Elder Scrolls.
I especially find it interesting that out of all the places where Watch Dogs is most downloaded, the state of New York has picked FIFA 13 as its most pirated
13!
game.
Last year's.
Yeah. Yeah. What is that little... I think DC. I think that's Washington, D.C. The most downloaded, or the most pirated game is Goat Simulator.
No, that's Delaware.
There's
that's
it.
Delaware.
Yeah, it's Delaware.
Yeah.
Oh, is that Delaware?
DC
DC's
is not
in the middle
over
of
there.
in the middle of Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Where's it, Maryland?
Let me guess, geography
Was it
not your
Maryland?
best subject.
I actually did pretty well at it, but it's been a long time since anyone's had to ask me about it.
Fair.
It's not something I've put into practice
Mhm.
very often. Rhode Island seems to be something called the Forest.
Never heard of that either.
Me neither.
And you know, I have teams, so
Uh,
not hearing about games is kind of rare.
I find it odd that
Yeah.
Maine and Texas has Gary's Mod.
Yeah. Although Nebraska, probably one of the whitest states in the Union, has Wolfenstein: The New Order. I wonder what side they wanted to play on. Oh well. Have you guys heard about the hitchhiking robot?
No.
No.
Somebody put together a robot simulation. It's not a true robot. It has a limited AI, so it can answer a few questions. But they put it out on the side of the road, and they're trying to see if they can get this thing to hitchhike across America. It has a GPS tracker, it has a solar cell, and it also asks if you can plug it in while you're driving in the car to taking it as far, I think, east as you can take it. It started in Halifax, Nova Scotia on July 27th, and it's trying to get to British Columbia. It's an interesting social experiment. The people just tried to see if they could do it. The problem I have is that it's come out on so many news and podcast stations that by now a lot of people know what this thing is, so it kind of ruins the experiment. You know, they now know that this weird little robot thing is a benign thing. They're not going to. There's not much risk to picking it up.
Yeah, but they probably had to do that at least a little bit so that it wouldn't get smashed real quick.
Yeah, I guess the only danger now is whether or not other people will make like knockoffs and create something that is dangerous.
Oh, that's a thought.
It's a strange idea. Last story I have in nerd interest news is one I've been complaining about for a while, and one that maybe people will take a little more seriously. Beth Greenfield on Yahoo Health put out a story why ramen noodles could cut your life short.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, apparently ramen noodles recently have been linked to heart attacks and diabetes in college. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that the ramen, along with other instant noodle products, may increase a person's risk for cardiometabolic syndrome, a risk factor for severe cardiovascular disease and stroke, especially in women.
Okay.
They mentioned something about a video of somebody who apparently had a camera put in their stomach at the same time they ate noodles, and the stomach goes through some violent contortions trying to break it down.
This is why I don't eat ramen. It doesn't taste good.
It says the stomach worked overtime, struggling for hours to grind up the strands. TBHQ, a petroleum byproduct, was named as a possible culprit. There's a petroleum byproduct in ramen?
What?
Not surprising.
Or at least instant ramen. There appears to be a petroleum byproduct, probably a preservative in instant ramen. It's not to say that like the restaurant quality stuff is bad, but the stuff you make in bags at home could actually be some nasty shit.
I don't know why anyone's surprised about this. I mean, all the heavily refined foods are not made of good things to eat.
Yeah.
You mean wheat?
Cool.
Well, the study, researchers looked at 10,711 adults between the ages of 19 and 64, collected via the nationally representative Korean National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey of 2007 to 2009. They found that eating instant noodles, ramen, lo mein, glass, Thai, or other, twice a week or more was associated with cardiometabolic syndrome, a collection of abnormalities affecting the cardiovascular, renal, and metabolic symptoms. Wow, ramen can fuck you up. Now I'm really glad I have a stance against it at conventions. I had it before because I just didn't think it was nutritious enough to get you through a weekend. Now it turns out the stuff could kill you if you eat too much of it.
That doesn't surprise me.
Which I guess is true of anything.
Yeah, well, anything can kill you, but some things can kill you less slowly.
For less valid reasons. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, for less. Some can kill you for less.
Okay. Well, we have finally our What the Fuck corner where we talk about those fun stories and make you sit down and go, the fuck happened here? First off, we have police use a taser on an 8-year-old.
So?
None of you sound surprised for some reason.
Well, because...
It took us a second to process. What?
Well, she was a 70-pound girl. Police were at the home to keep the girl from hurting herself. A babysitter called them because a child had a knife in her hand.
Okay.
The girl seemed very likely to do some harm to herself, and I guess they weren't calming her down, so one of the police officers tased her. The mother of the daughter is bringing a suit against the city.
Not going to happen.
Well, they're going to bring a suit. I guess the question is whether or not there was justification. There's a lot of people who have jumped on this when they heard, police tase an 8-year-old. Well, that's fucking awful. You can't do that. Reading the context of what was going on, I'm not going to say I approve, but I get it. If the girl was actually going to do harm to herself with a knife, removing the fishhook needles of a taser is much better than trying to, get her to a hospital because she slashed herself.
Yeah.
But, granted, a 70-pound body is not what is meant to do or meant to take that kind of voltage. And, people have died from tasing. I will not bullshit that. People have died from that. It's just, I don't see a lot of good choices because what else are you going to do? Beat her up? Shoot her?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of good options in the case where you're trying to stop somebody intent on hurting themselves.
I agree.
So, I don't know. Steve, you're oddly quiet. You usually have an opinion on these things.
Just not much to say, I guess.
Well, apparently after the tasing, they did remove the taser darts from her chest, gave her emergency medical attention, bandaged the holes, and called the ambulance. So they at least did give a shit about her. They didn't just tase her and say, okay, pick that up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if the officer was more in fear of his life, fear for, the other person in the house, or fear that the child might harm themselves, but shooting them full of electricity with a knife in hand doesn't really ensure the girl's safety so much as everyone else's. So that would be my take on the situation.
It's one of those unfortunate things where police get a lot of bad reputation for making choices in situations where a lot of us never find ourselves. It's easy to psychoanalyze and say, well, you could have done X, Y, and Z. Well, usually those of us that analyze it have a chance to sit down for at least a couple minutes and make a decision. A lot of police have nanoseconds to make such a decision. So I can't judge.
That being said, there's lots of cases of police making the wrong decision lately.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, when you don't have time to properly judge everything, sometimes you just have to make a fast decision. Not always the best, but it's what they got. Not saying I approve of everything they do. There's times that they're just plain fucked up. But, like I said, most of us are not in that situation to begin with of any sort. I have another story here regarding Discovery Channel Shark Week. I've heard a lot of people groan when Shark Week comes up, and now there's another reason that may be a very legitimate reason. A lot of scientists are saying they were tricked to appear on Shark Week documentaries.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, one example was by a guy named Jonathan Davis. He works for the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, and he was studying bull sharks in the Gulf of Mexico for his master's research. He was approached by a Shark Week film crew. They were invested in the Shark Weeks in... quote, they were interested in the Shark Weeks in Louisiana, and I was the person doing the research there. Unquote. And he agreed to take this film crew into the field, but he became concerned because they refused to answer his questions. Quote, I asked a few of the crew members, including the producer, what the show was going to be about. I never got a straight answer, and the producer seemed to avoid the question. I was told it would be combined with some other filming to make one show about Louisiana Shark Week, unquote. He found out his interview aired during 2013 Shark Week in a special called Voodoo Shark, about a mythical monster called Rukin that lived in the bayous of Louisiana. That sucks ass.
Wow.
You know, the guy's trying to do an actual scientific study, and what are they making?
Voodoo Shark.
The Housewives of Orange County equivalent of a documentary. That's sad as
well. You know,
Yeah.
they have to come up with a reason that the Sharknado can actually happen. If it's
let
a
alone
voodoo
that.
shark, then it can survive the tornado.
Tara Reid actually thinks Sharknadoes can happen.
Really?
The actress in the movie actually thinks Sharknadoes could occur. Oh yeah, listen to the latest Hollywood Babylon. I thought Garmin was going to shit himself when he read the quote. So Davis actually goes on to say, quote, "Throughout the interview, I was fed certain words to rephrase my sentences in ways that the producer thought would spark more interest. Some words or phrases they asked me to say were beyond anything I would say on my own, and I refused. However, they were clever in their questioning by getting me to respond to a vague question with a response that could be used as an answer to a completely different question. The prime example that was used on the show was towards the very beginning of Voodoo Sharks. The voiceover introduced my researchers and I as we were riding a boat out looking for sharks on the edge of the lake. They said they believe that there is a monster shark entering Lake Pontchartrain. It is likely sticking to this area." And then it pans to a clip from my interview where they asked me, "Do you think there are large bull sharks in these bayous and swamps around Lake Pontchartrain?" My response was to that question. They used my response to one question to make it sound like I believed this monster shark Rukin that they had just laid the groundwork for being real as a preface for the whole show.
Yeah. Doesn't really surprise me. It's been going on for a long time now.
Yeah, so Shark Week can be just utter bullshit.
Yeah.
I have insane facts about the Masters of the Universe. IO9 had a story that had all kinds of weird stories about the Masters of the Universe. The first one is that He-Man is actually a half human.
Okay.
Well, his father was the king,
Right.
King Randor. Was from that weird planet Eternia. His mother, I didn't know this, Marlena, came from Earth. She was a NASA astronaut on a one-person mission to Europa, and her shuttle was knocked off course. How very Buck Rogers. So he's half man. The frick.
I know nothing.
The writers of the story say that might be how he recognized Superman as half human, because he's half human himself.
Yeah, because, you know...
Superman's half human?
I have no idea how this fits together.
I don't know either.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I got that story wrong. He recognized Superman because his mother told stories about Superman when he was a child.
Okay.
She was apparently around when he started. One thing I didn't need to know and wasn't aware of is that Skeletor is He-Man's uncle. Skeletor is King Randor's brother.
Okay.
Not only that, there's a lot of people that don't know that Skeletor's skin really is blue. The way they lay it out in the story is that most Eternians are blue, but similar to the Submariner, King Randor is some kind of aberration with pink skin.
And of course, he's put in a position of power.
Of course, white guys always
That's
lead
so
stuff.
racist.
He-Man's pal Teela is more important than he is. Because in modern versions of the story, Teela is the daughter of the sorceress, and the person's supposed to take over the mantle. He-Man is a cheapskate. They say that because Filmation Studios was notorious for using the same few animated sequences over and over again. If you watch the cartoon, that's not a secret. The original cartoon Bible for Masters of the Universe, a small floating idiotic wizard jester Orko, was named Gorpo.
Was named what?
He's going to have Gorpo, G-O-R-P-O, Gorpo. He's going to have a big G on the front of his tunic. Filmation renamed the character, so they would just have to put a big O on his chest because it's easier to draw. It also meant they could flip the animation cells and it would look the same. They also wrote here that item number 6 is He-Man never actually hurt anybody. If you watch the cartoon, he uses a sword a lot, but he never actually cuts anybody. He barely even punches them most of the time. He really doesn't punch. He tends to pick up and throw. That's his thing. I'm sure Jesse has a joke about, hey, that's your thing, Jeremy.
Yeah, it picks up chicks at the conventions all the time.
They say that She-Ra's sword was absurd. And not absurd because it didn't work. It was absurd because whereas He-Man would use his sword to magically levitate things and cut chains apart, She-Ra's sword would turn into anything, like a rope and a boomerang and a magnet. Once it even turned into a pair of handcuffs. Kink fucking E. The most ludicrous thing they say it ever turned into? An ice maker.
Say what
Wonder
now?
Twin Powers activate.
They said it turned into an ice maker. I have no clue. I didn't watch She-Ra with any regularity as a child, and now I'm glad I never did. Item number 8 is that nobody loves Stinkor.
Who?
Stinkor was a character in the Masters universe. He was a anthropomorphized skunk. The reason why no one liked him was because the toy they made, they put patchouli oil into the plastic as it was molded. Yeah, so the toy legitimately smelled when you got it.
I remember that.
The item number 9 I was completely unaware of. He-Man gave some major nerd celebrities their start. We all know that Filmation were the ones that put it out, and it was a cheap animation company at best. But working on as a background artist was Bruce Timm.
Really?
Yeah, the guy responsible for producing the latter DC animated series in the 90s, like Batman the animated series and The Adventures of Superman. Not only that, Paul Dini was a writer. Paul Dini wrote a lot of the Batman animated scripts.
I could make a remark.
J. Michael Straczynski. Yeah, J. Michael Straczynski. He sent out a spec script to the He-Man series, and he got hired as a story editor for He-Man and She-Ra cartoons. Weird, right?
Interesting.
How's this for a funny story? He-Man once defeated Spider-Man. Fortunately, it's more metaphorical than you think it is, I'm sure. Back in the 80s, Canon Films had the right to a bunch of different movie properties, including Spider-Man and Masters of the Universe. They had the rights to make Spider-Man. A Spider-Man movie in the 80s. I can only imagine how bad
I know how bad the He-Man movie wound up being, so...
Well, that's a funny story. Instead of making the Spider-Man film, they decided to use those funds to make the Masters of the Universe and Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. The theory was that both of the movies would be successful enough to create a Spidey movie with a much larger budget.
Oh, how wrong they were.
Yeah, those hopes died pretty quickly. This one, I did not know. He-Man had a bat signal. There was a race of hobbit-like creatures in Eternia called the Widgets. And they were supposedly being threatened enough, they devised a He-Man signal to call him when necessary. They made a flare in the symbol of He-Man's chest symbol that would appear in the air.
A big Germanic cross, huh?
A giant iron cross, yes. They actually said in the story, which seems pretty innocuous until you remember He-Man's symbol is an iron cross, the military decoration used mainly by the German armies of the 19th and 20th centuries, including the Nazis. Not shockingly, when a rebooted He-Man cartoon premiered in 2002, He-Man's cross was changed to a less troubling H symbol. The last of these items, number 12, the Masters of the Universe movie sequel would have been the worst. 4 Canon Films went out of business. They had actually planned to make Masters of the Universe 2. With John Laird Hamilton as He-Man, because Dolph Lundgren hated the first movie and refused to do it again. This movie would have been terrible on several levels because the way they cast it, He-Man would be back on Earth, disguised as a pro quarterback, while Skeletor would be on Earth masquerading as an evil CEO named Aaron Dark.
That sounds awful.
Oh, fuck. That sounds horrible.
Sounds like the regular shit we see in the 80s. God awful and nuts.
I don't know. The only thing that can make this worse is if he had if Aaron Dark had a business partner would stretch out all of his S's. I know some of you got that reference.
Yeah.
Don't bother, V. It's probably not worth it. There's also strange facts about the food at Disney. The Land Pavilion at Epcot grows 30 tons of fruit and vegetables annually, and it's all served at Disney World restaurants. That's a lot of food. Coke Corner on Main Street, USA in Disneyland sells enough hot dogs to circle the park 36 times every year. I can hear the heart attacks.
Gotta love that mystery meat.
Yeah, Disney chef used 90 different varieties of cheese in their cooking.
I didn't even know there was 90 different varieties of cheese.
You got me, man. Food waste is a major issue, with more than 700,000 pounds potentially going to waste every year. Although none of it does. It's donated through the Disney Harvest Program to feed the homeless in Central Florida.
All right.
If Walt Disney Resort was an independent food service company, it would be the world's 45th largest chain. It's kind of freakish. I do have a video from a pair of idiots in Germany.
I like idiots.
I don't, but...
I like idiots, and I like Germany!
I don't like idiots.
Okay, I like idiots. I'm not so fan of the Germans. Okay, I sent you guys a video link. Somebody is testing out what they call active lane control on the new Infiniti Q50S. It's kind of bizarre. You can hear it starting out with Ride of the Valkyries. And most of the video is very similar. You see these guys are driving down a highway in Germany with their hands off the wheel. They're testing this active lane control, right? It's a pretty calm video, you know. I've watched all 2 minutes. Nothing goes wrong with it, really. There's no terrible disasters. It doesn't go careening off this bridge. I'm not sure I'd watch it if it did. You know why this video is stupid, though?
It seems to fall in line with the last Infiniti commercial I saw, which promotes lazy driving.
No, it's not lazy driving. Do you know what the problem is?
What?
Active lane control is a computerized system that does minor self-corrections to make sure it stays in the lane. Active lane control is not, I repeat, not a self-driving system. Right. So these guys actually, when they made this video, they thought active lane control was a self-driving car. If you make it through the latter part of the video, one of them the driver actually climbs into the back seat. You believe this idiocy? Actually, at 1:25, yeah. There's the driver's side with nobody in it. I wonder if these guys have any idea how lucky they are.
Yeah, I know. Killed. That's the thing. It's like, it worked.
I'm sure that's the justification. It worked, and I'm sure it's only running at regular speed because somebody sit on cruise control. But that does mean if something catastrophic happens,
yeah.
You did.
I mean, the fact that, you know, had other traffic slowed down or something else happened.
It is stupid beyond words. There's a lady who died recently. Her name is Johanna Scarpitti. She was a Delaware mother, and she admits she was not the nicest person in life. I say that because she actually started her obituary she started her funeral, I should say, with "Ding Dong, the witch is dead."
Wow.
She said that?
Yeah, her daughter reported to the News Journal that her mother made her promise to include a tribute to the Wizard of Oz in her eulogy.
That's awesome.
If you're going to be a dick, at least be aware you're a dick. That's sometimes all I ask. She at least was very aware. Have you guys seen a new Friday Star Wars?
What?
Mm-hmm. No.
I am going to blow your fucking mind. It is Star Wars. Somebody took sections of Star Wars and redubbed it with Chris Tucker and Ice-T from Friday.
Shit.
It is especially funny when it gets just about anything with stormtroopers. I'm sure you're seeing the scenes right now where they pull the Corvette into the Star Destroyer. The best part is any stormtrooper in this little redubbing is Chris Tucker. All of them.
Come on, smokers, go in.
Man, I'm on probation. I can't be.
Stop being a bitch and come on.
I don't know. Something about Darth Vader saying "stop being a bitch and come on." That's actually kind of intimidating. The best part, though, is as ineffectual as stormtroopers generally are, I can believe Chris Tucker is in every one of those suits.
Give it up, Reds. I don't have nothing.
Only Imperial stormtroopers fire with such accuracy.
Fuck you then, punk. Told y'all. Who else wants some? Who else wants some of this? Don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 35, 45 minutes.
It's slightly painful, but it still amuses me. I will admit this.
Man, you know I want some Kool-Aid. God damn, man.
I did like Friday.
What shit is that? So, man,
Like stormtroopers offering each other Kool-Aid.
You're looking for.
what? Trip.
He can go about his business.
All right, man, sorry.
Move along.
I do like the redubbing of the droid scene. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
I clean all that shit up for you, but you got the hell on.
Hey, come back.
Come back!
Hell no!
Finally got it. You know we just did. Finally got that little
Oh boy.
Yes?
They're gonna show the
What's up, y'all?
There's no good reason why this is as funny as it is, but it's
I was
goddamn
hoping
funny.
you get the scene where Han Solo ran into a platoon of stormtroopers.
I have the second part of this. Do we want to go through that, or should we save that for another day? Okay. My favorite part, though, was when all those stormtroopers are invading the hangar where the Millennium Falcon is, and you hear, like, Chris Tucker 20 times. Damn! There's an Arizona teacher who is, she's been accused of being drunk in class.
Oh.
She's 57 years old. Let me see. What is her name? I see the name Jardine over and over again. But Kathleen Jardine. She showed up to school recently via cab because she was too drunk to drive. And then the students reported that she had been drinking throughout the day. So midway through, the administrators called her in. They took a look at her desk. She had a bottle of vodka, a bottle of Burton's wine, and a bottle of Sunny D.
Gotta get that
All
vitamin
right,
C.
Sunny D.
Gotta get that vitamin C.
No purple stuff, though.
Yeah.
That's disappointing. The image of the lady that's been on the internet, I'm sending it to you right now. If she was not drunk, I would swear she's chasing down the One Ring. This is not a handsome woman. She looked like she'd been drinking.
She looked like she's seen enough.
She also looked
shit.
like she looked like you could wring her out and get 90 proof out of her right now. Not only that, I have a major what the fuck here, and it's kind of a funny one, because there is a promotional image for Downtown Abbey Season 5. And I don't know whose job it is to check your backgrounds. But somebody should always be looking for things that should not be in the background of your photos. Mm-hmm. They took an interesting promo image that I'm guessing two of the title characters. I have not actually seen an episode of this thing. But as they took the promo image, somebody from Yahoo pointed out very specifically that there's something wrong with it. Let me see. Well, I don't have an unedited version, so I'll just send you the URL to what I have. There's one object in particular that should not be in a series that's about, like, 1890s England.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you see what's wrong with this picture. Somebody left a plastic water bottle on the mantle.
Oops.
That's a big freaking oops. This is the image you're sending. It's your promo image. You're sending this to news sites. You're putting this in print. and somebody was a little too busy with their bottle of Arrowhead to get rid of it.
Someone's fired.
Someone's getting fired, yeah.
Yeah. I have another ugly woman story. I'm sending you the URL on this one early. Because this is about a woman named Walters. Sherry Walters. You can see the image. She doesn't look like a bright one to begin with, does she?
Not with the picture they took, no.
Okay. She was arrested in Albuquerque, New Mexico for trying to poison her roommate and her boyfriend.
Not unusual.
She had put rubbing alcohol and toilet bowl cleanser in the meal she prepared for them. I'm sorry, the toilet bowl cleanser was in the meal. She spiked their water with rubbing alcohol. She wanted to kill her boyfriend and this person. Guess why?
They're sleeping together?
No, it's not ever going to be that simple.
It actually has nothing to do with the two of them sleeping together. It actually has to do with what Miss Walters here was sleeping with. They caught her in the shed having sex with her roommate's dog.
Oh.
This lady is 53 years old. They caught her in a backyard shed with her roommate's German Shepherd. She admitted after she was arrested for attempted murder that she had been having sex with dogs since she was 14.
I see.
I don't, and I'm kind of glad I don't see, because I don't need this image running through my head of that ghoul having sex with.
I think I might be having a stroke trying to cleanse this from my brain.
Well, she's been arrested for aggravated battery, cruelty, extreme cruelty to animals, and assault with intent to commit a violent felony. She's not the only brilliant murderer out there, because there's another guy who's been arrested, Pedro Bravo. He strangled and killed a young man, Christian Aguilar. Okay, it was formerly a friend of his. The reason why he was caught was because Genius here wasn't very sure where to hide the body, so he asked Siri.
Oh, God.
Really?
And of course, it may be your phone, but of course it logs information. And he asked Siri, quote, "I need to hide my roommate," unquote. Siri responded with, "What kind of place are you looking for? Swamps, reservoirs, metal foundries, dumps?"
It responded with that?
Siri, have you ever used Siri?
No.
Siri can actually be kind of cynical sometimes. I've watched somebody ask it, "Siri, what is the meaning of life?" And it responded with, "The answer is 52.
Wrong number.
42?
I'm sorry, it did respond with 42. It did respond with 42. I got that wrong. I saw somebody else ask it, "Siri, what is the meaning of life?" And it responded with, "The last person to ask me that ended up in a ditch."
Really? That's awesome.
So the fact that when somebody asked to hide their roommate and responded with several popular, pop culture places to hide bodies, that doesn't surprise me in the least.
Oh my God.
So if you want a straight answer to shit, don't ask Siri.
That's really hilarious.
Yeah. I have a lighter video for you, one that is not in the stupid category. I'm giving it to you now. Somebody set up a GoPro so they could get a time lapse of a valley. It's a really pretty valley. You see it there?
Mm-hmm.
It's picturesque. You'll notice that the time lapse stops suddenly because something approaches the camera.
Is that a
badger?
It's a marmot.
Oh, okay.
It's a marmot. And not only that, you notice it spotted it.
Yeah, it's trying to figure out what the hell it is.
Steal it!
Looking around.
Yeah. It's not going to steal it. Hey, I like you. Unfortunately for people listening to this, it doesn't have a whole lot of great audio, but this marmot goes crazy licking the GoPro. And after it's done licking it, it decides to start moving it. Like, no, I think this is a better picture. And then it pushes it over.
Oops.
I like that it has a pop-up. Click here to protect this little guy's home from climate change. Oh, cute.
Unfortunately, from cute, we have to bounce back to sad. We've discussed how World of Warcraft for a long time ruled Jesse and Steve's life with an iron fist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay? Unfortunately, there are still several million people that have not gotten out from under this fist. Current player base is still 6.8 million. Still an impressive amount of people. 2 people have been arrested for their love of World of Warcraft.
We're getting the Darwin
Orange County in
here.
Florida. I would say yes, except for the fact that if they weren't arrested, they probably would have died. But the problem is, it would have taken people with them. Lester and Petra Humphrey were convicted after police discovered that they had 2 children that they were responsible for locked in a mobile home without appropriate provisions for 3 years while they played World of Warcraft. The kids were found very malnourished, missing teeth. They had not been into school since the parents started this little marathon of World of Warcraft. The kitchen was covered in the kitchen appliances were covered in mold and cobwebs. Sacks of trash, debris, and mold and feces were throughout the home. There's a pile of used condoms under a stuffed teddy bear. The feces were around because the toilets weren't operable.
Gross. Yeah,
it sounds like these people have done nothing but World of Warcraft for 3 years. Fortunately for those kids, they're now in the state. Normally I don't like the idea of the state controlling kids' lives. It doesn't go well in this case. They're much better off.
Yeah.
The father was convicted to 5 years in state prison. The mother was convicted to 3 years and 4 months.
Really? That's all?
Stupid. That was also my reaction. I mean, granted, they can't have the kids even when they get out, but for what they did to these kids, stole 3 years of their formative life.
Yeah, no, that's
gone.
Serious. Like, they're probably never going to be the same.
Yeah, especially
They're
just
never
with
gonna be able to
the
integrate
malnutrition
into
and everything
society.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last story I have is a serious what the fuck to me, because I saw this and it flipped me out. There was somebody who put up an art statue of Lucifer in an old church. Now, it hasn't been a place of worship since the 30s. They're even considering turning it into a shopping mall at this point. But the guy was allowed to put up this weird statue of what he considered to be the dark angel Lucifer that has real feathers. It's a wax figure with oily black skin, and it looks like it's been caught up in power lines. And he put it up in what probably used to be the central dais of an old Catholic church. It's one of those things that I don't quite understand. I kind of get the statement. I still don't understand why you allow someone to do this, because this is one of those things you walk by and your skin crawls. I think you guys can see it by now. As a simple piece of art, as a visual, it's pretty. I will admit that freely. The circumstances of putting it, not the circumstances, where he was allowed to put it up, though, throws me to a serious degree. I don't know if I can describe it better than that. If he put this in some open air place or a museum, I think it'd be worth a discussion. But putting this up in an old church somehow seems like the wrong place for this, and I don't know why. I don't have a good reason for that, being that I'm largely agnostic and atheist. However, I am a Judas priest, but I don't need to get into that. It's one of those things that seems weird to me. What do you guys think?
It appeals to my sense of the... I want to say macabre, but that's not the right word.
No, macabre, I think, is the proper word for that. Gothic.
I'm not...
I don't know, it kind of
terribly
appeals to me,
disturbed or offended by it, but...
Like I said, I'm neither of those things. I don't think of this as anything bad. I don't think he had a bad statement. This isn't one of those weird F the church type things that people sometimes come up with. It just kind of unsettles me. That's the best way I can put it.
I'm surprised more than anything. Is what I think it is.
I think you get the wings anatomically incorrect.
How do you get anatomically incorrect on something that's never had wings?
There's still a reference off, real bird wings, so that's... I don't know.
I know those are real feathers. He spent a while collecting those.
Yeah, I know feathers are real, but the structure of the wing, I don't think is correct. My opinion.
This isn't even the weirdest thing. Yeah, this isn't even the weirdest thing that's apparently been put up in this mausoleum. Prior was a statue of a crucified ape that was put up in the same place.
Okay.
Weird. Where is this?
I have no idea. This is a shopping center that's formerly the Holy Trinity Church in Maribon, Westminster. So I guess it's English.
Huh.
The church was specifically built to celebrate the defeat of Napoleon. Has been used as a place of worship since the 1930s.
Well, I mean, I guess if it's not offending anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. It was just one of those stories that when I came across it, I was staring at it going, that's a serious what the fuck to me. So, whatever. The read this week was Superman Unchained. I had read stories that said that the reviews on this book were relatively strong. Actually, it had been reviewed as one of the better Superman books in years. I know nobody in this room is a Superman fan, but as we discussed last week, we can't keep making fun of it without trying to see if it's improved or if the material's gotten any better in any format. What are your initial opinions of the series?
He didn't seem, as massively overpowered, so it was definitely a more interesting story.
Really? Because it seemed to me that it was the same powered character. It's just one of those instances where the challenge was another hyper-powered character.
Yeah.
I wasn't even referring to that. I was just referring to the story.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I suppose there was some conflict with the Wraith character, but I mean, it wasn't really.
Yeah.
It wasn't really about Wraith. It was about.
There was a big philosophical battle.
Government.
The only real value.
Country versus the world type thing.
I don't know about that. I think it was a difference in how people viewed duty.
Yeah, no.
It was kind of a strange story in that Superman finds out that Lois Lane's father is running this secret facility called the Machine that secretly directs, I guess you can say, the pathway of global society. And part of his arsenal was this alien being that was discovered in the early 40s, I think 38. It was. That due to an acronym and funny name ended up being called the Wraith. And it has powers remarkably similar to Superman at about 20% greater, if my math is correct. So it's one of those characters that was kind of prefab to fight Superman. It didn't really have a whole lot of other challengers. It's one of those things where I wouldn't say it was a bad series, but it falls into a lot of the tropes that I've never really enjoyed about Superman. The idea that he's so overpowered that without specific enemies or specific problems, he really doesn't have a whole lot of things that stand on his own feet.
Yeah, well, I
think that's just the existing reality of the character now.
Yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, the most interesting part in the whole thing was when he was trying to decide how best to save the falling skyscraper.
That was one of those few things that's never portrayed well, and the writers, I think, got that very well. It kind of harkens back to our conversations about how people who protect lives don't have much time to create to make decent decisions. Yeah. So he had to roll through it all, and it was a bunch of real world problems if half that building was falling over, because if you pick it up at any particular point, it's more than likely going to snap the rest of the
Yeah, and at least they were smart enough to figure that out rather than, God, what was. It was one of the old Superman cartoon shows where, the ship gets is an oil tanker. It's leaking the oil, so he sits there, puts it all back into the ship, and then welds it shut with his heat vision. I'm just sitting there looking at it, going, "Okay, the ship is full of fucking oil." Yes, I realize it has a high burning point, but at the same time, you're arc welding something underwater. Yeah.
Yeah, I swear they did that in one of the movies too. His character interactions are unfortunately what I've just kind of part and parcel. He's friendly with Jimmy. Lois is a person he's definitely, I don't want to say pining after, but he's attracted to, and she's more standoffish than anyone I've ever met. She's one of those people that would pretty much insult you at the same time she says she likes you, which is just a whole bunch of McFuckers.
She's a massive alpha personality. Yes. Did I say that?
No, you just said alpha personality. I'll say it. She's a bitch. One thing I didn't like about the structure of all this was that I didn't know during the first 3 issues that the epilogues actually mattered.
Oh, really?
The art style was so different. I thought they were some kind of small extra story. I didn't know I was supposed to be reading those as I was going along.
Yeah, I read them. I don't like that format either.
I think I overlooked the epilogue in the first issue.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that I thought they were just extra stories about the characters. I didn't know they were part of the central story. So when I got to the 4th or 5th issue and Wraith is fighting Batman in his cave, I'm like, wait, what the fuck? How did we get here?
Yeah.
I said it to a lesser degree in the 3rd issue when I found out Lex Luthor had Jimmy Olsen. I was like, okay, I don't know how this is important.
It was confusing.
Into this
I don't know. I just read until I saw the end. I didn't skip it, so it made sense after I realized. Oh, okay, this shit is still dealing with the story. Okay.
All right. I mean, I will say the humans were better armed, but again, they were all armed with devices specifically meant to deal with him as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
The Wraith character, I would almost like to see a series about him.
Would be interesting.
Well, it deals with a more amoral nature that we discussed that we thought, a real world Superman would come into, because you have the power to change things, just a matter of whether or not you will. And he does have that impulse about him. There's certain aspects about what he does where he'll make a decision, even against his, I don't know if captors is not the right word, I guess handlers. He'll make decisions against them in open defiance, and, it kind of comes down to the point, well, what the fuck are you going to do to me?
Mm-hmm.
So, I do like the Wraith character. It's the same complaint I've got. Superman is so vastly overpowered compared to everything else in the universe. It's hard to make a very compelling story. Every threat he faced in this thing were huge, which is appropriate, but not everything should be the size of a skyscraper to be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. I liked the fact that I don't know. It seemed more of a thinking one than, or at least as far as the consequences and everything, where it didn't seem so 100% sure that he could succeed, just due to the nature of the problems that he was facing, and the fact that it essentially seemed like the entire planet was turning against him at some points. Being that they had all come up with these weapons specifically designed to take him out. His realization of that fact and coming to terms with it in the short amount of time that they highlighted it, but
yeah, I do like the Ascension as this group. I don't know if this series is going to be canon. Let's get that out of the way. I know it's a new series that DC put out. I don't know if it's going to connect to the central story of the New 52. The Ascension as a villain group is rather impressive. Any group that can kind of make technology come to keel and turn it into a weapon on itself is pretty impressive. The device they used to do it, it's on the edge of a little too Deus Ex Machina, as you like to put it.
Well, it's
too much of a one-off.
It also seems like they're really setting it up, obviously, as a major plot device, being that now they're commenting on the fact that there seems to be some other personality inside of it.
Yeah. The other thing I had with the Ascension is that, unfortunately, it is just a group of baseline humans. So when it comes down to it, it's still Superman either fighting a vastly underpowered group.
Although it does make me wonder, being that they say that this crystal is made out of, elements that can only be found on Earth. Therefore, it is an Earth crystal, using this alien technology to create, but still unique to Earth. I just hope they don't come up with, this whole, it's Gaia's will guiding it or some shit.
Honestly,
are you kidding? I was afraid you were going to reference like Battlestar Galactica. There's the lost 13th tribe of Kryptonians,
Oh, like the movie?
Shut up. That never happened. It doesn't exist. We all saw it. Did you notice that every appearance Lex Luthor made, unfortunately, it's also kind of just the standard fare we've gotten used to. He's busy talking about how much smarter he is than everybody.
Yeah. I've just never really respected Lex as a villain.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, V?
I didn't really like that they were like, nope, it's not me, and then yes, it's me.
Well, he definitely has some hand in it.
It would be nice if he used a villain other than that one. I'm
trying to think of the right words to put it. I think DC would like to evolve away from Lex Luthor as a villain, regardless of whether you mean the Justice League and his heroic turn or just the idea of getting tired of him. But there's that fanboy outcry. And we hear fanboy outcry whenever DC tries to make any major changes. You know, Wonder Woman has pants. You can't do that. Superman lost his red trunks. You can't fucking do that. We have a black Green Lantern. We don't like the idea, but that would sound racist, so try it. So, you know, it's one of those things where change is not well accepted by a lot of, I don't even think I can say core DC fanboys. There's just too many of them out there that resist the ideas of evolution. You know, characters can't change past a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I mean, some of my favorite issues of comics are when villains turn to heroes and, or villains get redeemed. Heroes, you know, they fall from grace. Those can be some of the best shit ever.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but that's probably also why I read team books. I don't read a lot of solo books because, unfortunately, as soon as the main character runs into a specific threat, if you know the previews and you know there's another 3 issues coming after that, he's not going to die.
Yeah.
And it's kind of another weakness in this solo book as I was reading it because, I mean, maybe it's that Superman has gone back to school, but this one seems a lot smarter than the previous versions.
Well, they kind of flip-flop back and forth. It just depends on if it's relevant to the story, if he needs to be smart or not.
In a world with two...
Does Superman need more than 3 brain cells here?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing.
V, what were you going to say?
I think the reason why we all don't like DC is that, at least in my opinion, a good story in a world with superpowers, it's not about the villains that you're defeating, it's about how the character changes. And so if you're not allowed to change, and you're not allowed to die or stay dead, then what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, they exhibited the same issues that we have with Batman in this series during his appearances, you know. So when did you get that? Well, I've always had it. Fuck, fine. You know, that's the long and short of all of his appearances. You know, when did you develop this? When I met you.
Before I met you, when I didn't trust you. I still don't trust you, but now I know that I can trust you because you don't trust yourself.
Oh, God, that is so Buddha.
Yeah.
That is so fucked up Buddha. I can't even talk about how weird that is.
I was wanting to make a comment because, I read that Superman Unchained. I'm afraid it's like, is Superman actually going to go fucking all out, go ballistic? It's like, I'm not seeing that. I feel that the title's kind of misleading.
That's a good point. There was still a lot of restraint through the series. I don't know what they meant by Unchained.
I'm seeing what they're trying to do, where they're trying to push the story, and I think they're trying to push Superman to a breaking point. But if they do that, it's going to be scary because there's no reason.
Well, I don't know. I thought he already hit that breaking point. He needed that armor just to stand up against the army that came after him.
I think he did it for their own well-being. But that armor didn't last very long, so...
No, they were kicking his ass.
In the first issue, or I think it might have been the second, whenever they showed, I guess it was Wraith all trundled up and stuff, I thought that what they were doing was that Superman was actually that person there, like literally, and that the Superman that was running around was an imposter or a clone or something. And then I was very disappointed to find out that was not the case.
That would be an interesting story, but unfortunately, that would change the character massively.
I know.
You can't have that. I did kind of cringe a little bit every time he and Wraith were talking. You know, if you exist another 30 or 40 years, you may learn to be able to do the things I can do. And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, no, don't need no more powers, no more fucking powers.
Well, he already knows how to do rapid fire. He's just been told how to do a sonic breath, a sonic scream.
I don't need this. I don't need this. Pretty soon, all he's going to need to do is turn to metal, and I'll just call him a copy of every X-Men that ever lived. 5 issues was unfortunately not the totality of this particular story. I decided to pick up the other 2 and see where it goes.
Too. It's still not finished.
No, and it's not an evolution of the character by any means. Even though this Superman is supposedly darker than the pre-New 52 version,
kinda.
I really didn't see any. A little, but for the most part, this is still Superman. This is still the same guy I've been making fun of for years.
Yeah, I
would.
I also didn't like the art. Like I didn't
I like
really
Jim
like
Lee.
anything.
He's one of my favorite
I'm
artists
okay
ever.
with the art.
But
Nothing bad to say about it.
it's not very well suited for him. He does SmackDowns very well. The scenes where he and Wraith were actually fighting, very well drawn. Very kinetic, and you actually got a sense of the power between the two. But most of the art, unfortunately, had to do with the two of them having this. This particular series had a lot of navel-gazing moments for most of the characters in it. They all spent a lot of time talking about their weird motivations and what kind of people they were.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the reasons why I like the story is because it's a little more along the same veins of us doing our pop culture stuff, where it's questioning their motivations.
Yeah.
Still not really dealing with it realistically, in the fact that Superman is still this huge idealist, and I just don't see it existing in reality. But at the same time, it's fiction, so I don't.
I'm not taking it personally. This was one of those chances where you have a brand new series with a brand new name on a character that has lost some readers just because of how antiquated it is. You have a chance to really change the footing of it and try and explore a new avenue, and we've really explored nothing. Nothing that we haven't seen already.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Especially after, like I said, I read the other issue. 7 months of stories where we're still dealing with what is essentially the same character since the 1990s at best.
Yeah. But,
So,
as I said, I think I know what they're trying to do with it, given the title of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, if they actually do manage to push him over that edge, I don't see a reason for him to come back.
yeah, and at the same time, though, it's taken too long to get to that edge.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a really
depends on
slow
how...
build up. It's not a sign that it's building up, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is this supposed to be a mini-series, or is this, kind of like an ongoing series that they're just trying out?
Not sure.
It was supposed to be an ongoing series, but I read in solicits that it's going to be ending in the next couple months. I guess, I don't know if the sales were off, but I don't think it was doing what they wanted it to do.
Yeah, because, the ramp-up makes sense if it's just supposed to be an ongoing series. They don't have a finite amount of issues that they're having to get through, then they can take do as much as they want with the story. If you only have 6 issues, well, you got to get to that breaking point really quick if you're going to do any of the aftermath.
Yeah. Well, I guess the short of this, because we've been at this 4 hours, we definitely need to take some time and actually enjoy a Sunday. I think the long and short of this, though, is that if you're already a Superman fan, you're going to really enjoy this. If you're not already a Superman fan, there's not much here to draw you in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to get any origin stories other than the new characters. You're not going to get any real sense of who the characters are outside their stereotypes or their archetypes. If you're in, you're already in. If you're not, it's not a good point for you to start.
Yeah, if you're not at least familiar with the character.
Yeah. So I guess that's the best we can say about it. And not trying to make fun of Superman just makes it too goddamn easy. Any suggestions for next week? I didn't have a chance to think about where the show should go. Are there any series or stories that have been out that have tickled your fancy at all?
I could see Guardians of the Galaxy. We could talk about that.
Have we read Guardians?
No, we haven't.
We have read some older iterations of it.
Define older. How about, well, I got an idea. How about we look up the series that's made it popular? Not the current one that's out with the main 5 characters everyone knows. We look up the one just prior to that was done by Dan Abnett and Albert Lansing, the one that made the Guardians popular in comics again. I'm talking about the lineup that had Star-Lord and Adam Warlock and frickin' Quasar and a couple other characters most people probably aren't aware of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
sounds like a plan.
Yeah, that's one we read last time we touched upon the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I don't even remember reading that. Might have been one of the ones that I
remember
missed.
That's when we were talking about where Iron Man was in it, and he.
Oh, that's
no. That's the absolute most current one right now.
Oh, and then I don't remember reading that.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, we can talk about the prior volume then, because that has the more dynamic characters, and that's the one that got the Guardians definitely restarted in comics. That's the one post Annihilation.
Oh no, you actually recommend us to read that? Just to read because.
Okay, well then let's read that then. That's a good suggestion. Okay, so next week it's the prior volume of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm sure we'll look that up and be sure what we're going to read before we actually start out. There's a lot of Guardians that came prior. Thanks for tuning in for this special episode where we do things we don't like. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. I am Jeremy.
Steve.
Jesse.
And V.
She was off in her own world there. Thank you very much.
So is Spider-Ham in that zoo?
Does bacon taste like web?
I don't know.
That's not a theory I want to test.